Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Hyperfixations Music number 2, Loud Equals Funny, featuring Caddicarus. I guess it's
Really?
it's not number
Really
2, is it? Because we did the video game music one. It's like,
Well, this is general music.
yeah,
with
yeah,
me.
okay.
It's number 2 with me because
true.
I am number 2. I am a number 2.
Caddy is here. However, he's not on video, so he might just be an AI voice that we brought in. This might be Bing AI.
Yeah, this is the CAD bot, as it were.
Yeah. We'll leave it up to you guys to figure out. Leave a comment if you know either way. But yeah, back in February we did, it was a while ago. Yeah, we did this dive into some of our favorite albums, and it was a really good time. And recently Caddy
right there.
Oh yeah, it was a great time, and it's not that I didn't want to do it again, that I didn't come back. It was that we were planning on doing the next one pretty soon, and then shit hit the fan on my end. I won't go into details about it. I don't know. At this point, it's been long enough now. It's been months now. You forget who you've told, who knows, who doesn't, who knows from secondhand news. It's you just end up repeating yourself. But yeah, shit hit the fan, and then it was like, okay, maybe talking about albums will have to wait.
Yeah,
that's fine. Yeah,
in the grand scheme of things, it's not really that important.
Yeah, but you can't.
Music is not important. That's the lesson of this podcast.
That's true.
Yes, we all hate
true.
music.
Music doesn't matter.
All of this fucking sucks. I hate it. It's stupid.
Flipping it off
Terrible.
right now. Look at this shit.
Oh yeah. Shit. Caddy dropped in again recently and was like, "Hey, when are we gonna do another one?" And
we're like,
In fact, you wanted to do it that day, and I was like, I guess I could maybe do it, but no, we should probably figure this out first. So yeah,
I made a point to jump back into the chat and act like that it was all your guys' fault and it was taking ages. I was like, so when are we doing this shit? Come on, it's been 8 months. Come on.
Come on, guys, chop, get to it. What?
It's all our fault, really.
It is.
Oh god. I'm very, very happy to get back into this. It's I think I might have said this in the first part, but I don't know if you want to say closet music guy, but it's not something that people would know me online for massively, and so I don't really get a chance to nerd out about it because it has been more a part of my life than video games ever have. So yeah.
No, it was so great talking to you last time because you're just clearly so enthusiastic about your favorite albums, which I think all of us can relate to. So yeah.
We tried to limit it to 25. Caddy was like, no.
We tried to. We wanted to do so the original one. We were gonna do 20 albums each.
Yeah.
But then we're like, no, we want to talk about these for 10 minutes at least. And that's gonna take fucking a full day. So
but you guys were all making lists of 20, and I just remember hovering over the chat and watching you all lose your shit with I can't not include this. I have to cut this. Yeah, can we not do more? Can we not? And then I come in with, hey guys, I have 60, and I've made 3 different lists, and I don't care. What you think.
You had 3 lists. Your 3 lists had a lot of organization to them, and you got it all structured.
Yeah,
it's because there's
maybe you should. Yeah, true. Maybe you should remind people your criteria for your lists.
Yeah, so I've got 3 lists, and I think 30 albums in each. The first one is I think only one change was made in the first one because I think just. When you were saying, Claude, I don't remember if you said it when you started or before we started, but you said about you had albums that you'd listened to for 15 plus years on that, and that was most of that list. It was which albums have I listened to so many times I never get tired of them, these are the tops. But then there might have been 1 or 2 where it was I think I can inch them out with something else more recently that I've been listening to. So a couple of things have moved around. But yeah, so first one is top 30 favorites currently. Second one is runner-ups currently. And the third one is newer discoveries / really love this shit, but I can't commit to it because I'm not one of these. I don't like best ofs, I don't know if you guys are like that. I'm not really. It's not. yeah, it's a good way
like the
to introduce.
Beatles 1 or something, then maybe. But...
Yeah, and you know, I mean, if you ask me, Beatles 1 has like
this is the only best of album that I have.
That's another.
To be fair,
everybody has
still.
that. In fact, isn't Greatest Hits 1 of the biggest like top 10
it is,
albums
I think,
of all time?
it's definitely their top selling album.
Like, I think the Eagles' Greatest Hits is like one of the best selling albums of all time. Also,
I had kind of a Greatest Hits in Metallica's S&M live album, but that's just a live album. You know.
Yeah, I guess that's at least though that's curated by them, because it's like, what do they want to play live? What means something to them at that moment?
Well, it was also a lot of just what they were doing in the '90s, so it wasn't all their greatest hits, but you know.
But yeah, like, so I it's not, I haven't got any shade against best ofs. It's just, I would prefer, if I like a single that I hear, I then go, okay, which album did this come from, rather than I like this and I like this band, so now I'm gonna buy this compilation. One of the worst bands for that is Blur. One of the worst bands for that. Every single album is so uniquely different, and it's like, you hear song 2 is fantastic.
It is.
I'm just gonna say, the only song that sounds like song 2 from Blur is song 2. That's it. Like, it was basically a joke. It was a joke song. And so and it's like, I just can't get the full picture until you get it in the context of the album. I think that's why you don't really get much like the compilations from the Beatles are usually always the singles, aren't they? They're never usually like...
Well, that's like most of their songs, to be fair.
Yeah, but like, think about, Abbey Road and stuff. Like, did any of them end up in compilations? Maybe aside from Something, maybe?
Maybe. And then you find out with like the Beatles especially, it's like, Obla Di Obla Da is apparently one of the most hated songs ever released in popular music, and it's just always been a favorite of mine.
It's a good song.
Yeah, it's a bit strange.
It's funny to me, you're talking about albums. So many people these days are just like Spotify playlist babies, and I just don't get it. It's like I was explaining recently, someone asked me about like trip hop, and I was kind of explaining it, and I got into talking about Massive Attack, which, spoilers for later possibly, but basically every Massive Attack album sounds completely different from the last one. And there's like no way that you can be like, just listen to some Massive Attack, bro. No, you have to listen to like a full album, basically. You have to have a little commitment,
I think people like, it maybe rolls off into the same mentality with the newer generation, and like, everything just being available all at once at your fingertips and available in milliseconds. And I think
these newfangled children, they don't know how to listen to albums.
They don't. They really don't.
I think it's I don't know if you'd say it was spoiled for choice or not, because I would say if you grew up without this shit, like, Apple Music and Spotify, if you grew up without it and then it became available to you, it's like the most amazing, incredible, useful thing in the world. But then if you're introduced to music like that, in the same way that, like, if you're introduced to TV via Netflix, or introduced to movies via, the same kind of streaming services or whatever, it's like, actually introduced to movies via Marvel movies. I'm not throwing shade. I'm just saying, like, but it almost gives people the impression.
Movies, I used to like them, but fuck them now, though.
I like some Marvel movies now. I'm not like making any point about their quality, but it's like, if you are introduced as a kid to the concept of a film from Marvel or MCU, it's like, it gives you a wrong idea of like how
that's a dystopian thought.
Yeah, it is. But
I don't like that.
The sad thing is that that's kind of the case, isn't it? It's really weird.
I know.
Like,
dude, I've only watched MCU stuff in theaters. Only MCU stuff in theaters too.
But it's like, but then it's like, if you're brought up with these films coming out pretty damn frequently and all kind of connecting and referencing each other and everything, it's like you end up watching, like, I don't know, Gone with the Wind, or you end up watching Predator, and you're like, oh boy, I can't wait to see Predator.
Multiverse.
Exactly. And it's like, it's not it's not neither a good or a bad thing. It's just a thing. And I just, if you're brought up with it, then it's a different thing. But yeah, that's what music streaming has done to a lot of people. And what's weird is that it's like you said, it's like, oh, you get to pick and choose what you like of what, which is also fine. That's a good thing, but I don't think that lots of people realize, especially if they're just getting into music as teenagers now, lots of kids don't realize albums were created for a reason. Like, songs were put together in a certain order, in a certain way, for a reason, and etc. etc. It's not just
It's harder because like there's a lot of new artists that are actually kind of doing stuff with like, you know, making a little bit more experimental stuff. I think the closest mainstream one I can kind of like that I at least know personally is Glass Animals, where it's like each album is a concept album and it tells a story through the songs. You can listen to them as singles. Some of them are pretty good singles, but like it has a connective tissue throughout it.
But even if it's not a concept album, you get stuff like, I mean, again, like the Beatles, Abbey Road or something. It's not necessarily a concept album, but like, you know, it has its own identity all throughout that's like distinctly that and not shared by, you know, it's clearly still the Beatles on like Sgt. Pepper, and that's another great example. Like, it's kind of a concept album, but ultimately it's just a collection of songs that fit very well together that all have a similar vibe.
But like, I think that the main difference is that, like, you know, you're an artist trying to get on some sort of trending service now and trying to get billion plus streams so that you can make at least $100, and it's you know, you're trying to get it's you know what, maybe you could look at it as content farming, possibly. I don't know, that's a bit of a soulless way to look at it, because that's, I mean, just that's dismissing a lot of energy, effort, talent. But I think there's a lot of people. It's like, I think that the people are forgetting that it's like, even when it comes to any album from the last, you know, 50, 60 years, somebody in the band had to be like, I think this should be the first track of this album, you know. And now it's just make song, publish. And maybe figure it out later.
I put out my first sort of album-ish release earlier in this year, and it was definitely a lot of deliberation over like I knew what I wanted the first song to be, but everything after that was like, how do I fit this in? Should I break this 3-part thing apart across the album or whatever? And that was just like a 20-minute EP kind of thing. If for people doing like fucking 2-hour double album like Joanna Newsom's Have One on Me, that's a triple album actually. That takes a lot of fucking work. You either do it all yourself or you have like a whole a team of cheerleaders to be like, that one should be song 1. You know.
But then, like, not that I've listened to any of it, and it's not really my thing, but like, even like, you know, your Taylor Swifts and your Billie Eilishes, like they still get the appeal and the idea of making a project rather than, you know, the singles do great and that's how they rise up, which is how most bands have done it historically. But it is still out there, but I think it's just the landscape is just totally different.
I mean, it's still it's appreciated by the artists, but not so much by the layman.
But I'd say also,
and you know what? There's billions more people than there used to be, and everything's fucking different. The whole system's changed, and I guess you just got to roll with it. It's weird because one of the people I was going to talk about, one of the bands I was going to talk about in my newer find section, which is good. It's the last one of my list, so it's going to take a few years to get there if we do these podcasts.
But like, hopefully a few months.
Hopefully it won't take as long between episodes as it has.
But like when I eventually get to them, I won't say who it is or what it is, but they are a new band. They are making music. It's fantastic, but they haven't yet released an album. It's all EPs and all singles, and they're they're great. I love them, but it's like I would kill for an album. You know, I would kill for an album.
Yeah.
Well,
that's all this to say, return to tradition. Women belong in the kitchen. Let's get into the list.
Oh God, we're going to hell.
I don't remember what order we did last time.
We should talk a little bit about stuff from last time, mostly because I have visual aids on hand.
Oh shit! Yeah. All right. Hey.
Oh,
Tristan,
nice.
As we've discovered, Tristan is a physical media music head. It's great.
He is to music.
I wouldn't say music head, but yeah, I have
more than me.
You got more.
I have a few good old.
Yeah.
Most
good
of my
old
stuff
LPs,
is.
but
Queen 2.
it's
At
Queen
this
2.
point, yeah, like
Told
at this,
y'all I had
I
it.
did collect CDs. So I got so many CDs, hundreds of CDs. But then, yeah, vinyl then took over my life about 2 years ago, and then
Oh,
that
yeah.
was
Gotta
the
make
end of
sure
that.
I don't.
I really
spill
gotta
the,
get a record player.
I
look at-
recommend that.
Look at that, huh?
Oh
Yeah,
man,
that's nice.
that fucking
Yeah.
goes hard.
And Night at the Opera.
Yep. The camera's on you
take it
fully,
away
so
from-
you're
There's
full screen.
something, yeah.
News of the
Yeah,
world.
there is something special
Just got the whole
about that kind of thing, like having the whole, whether it be the artwork or the photos, and they're blown up at a proper resolution, and you can see the intent of everything and how it all fits together, and it's very cool. I like.
Yeah,
that.
if I did have jazz, I couldn't show it. That's the
yeah.
one that's got the naked biking ladies.
Oh yeah.
This is the first
Yeah.
record I ever. Well, the first
Oh
LP
god,
that I ever got.
dude. Was it is
Yeah.
the works with
Thanks,
Radio
by the way.
Gaga? Is the works Radio Gaga?
I think so.
Yes.
And I Want to Break Free.
I think so.
Yes.
Yeah, so the works is the one where they're all sitting
Also,
down on the floor, right?
Keep passing the open window.
Yep.
That's a banger.
Yeah, that's the one. So I've never listened to. I only know those 2 tracks. I haven't listened to that
Oh.
album yet, but
I
I found it. I found an original print vinyl that was in flawless condition in a. I don't know what they call them. Like a trust shop. So it was like
Yeah.
every record was £1, and it was like.
Yeah.
Oh,
we've
this-
got we've got cameras. Put £1 in the pot and show how many things you've got. So I was like,
Hey.
I haven't heard this album, but fuck it, it's first edition print, and
Yeah,
sure,
yeah,
why
$1.
not?
Well,
Yeah,
I-
a pound.
I have it's in my parents' place, and have to actually go there and find it. But I have the single
Yeah,
for
I
Radio
bought this.
Gaga from Japan. It was a single of that, and
dude.
I can't remember what else. I think it was I Want to Break Free on the other side. I can't remember.
I have
But
well,
it- I'd have to find it.
the Queen
The single.
singles.
Oh.
The
Oh.
Queen single. The one that you
Oh, yeah,
God
We Are
damn.
the one that you've
Champions.
heard.
Yes, the one
I
that
also
is
have-
the one that I don't. I'm not massive on that song. I got to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's not one of Queen's better ones, but
I think
plays a little
like
thing called Love.
when
and-
it's done live, it's different. But when
Yeah.
you listen to the record, you listen to like. Bum, bum, bum. It's like it's so plodding. I don't
Spread
get
your
it.
Spread Your Wings is a
Unfortunately,
banger.
I don't know if the Prophet song was ever a single. So like,
no, it could not have been.
the
Oh,
public
man.
doesn't understand.
Imagine having a Flash Gordon like a single.
I gotta
That'd be pretty
fucking
dope.
watch that movie and
Oh,
listen to that. That
that-
sounds so cool. I've heard that exists, and it's like that's a great concept.
We
We're
might
probably
yeah.
not going to be talking about Another Light this episode. But look at that, huh?
Oh shit!
Very nice.
It's not an LP. It's not as impressive. But
That's
Red
so-
Box
Also-
has such fucking great album covers, man.
Caddy, I have to ask.
Yeah,
Have you heard?
the bird is the word.
Serpent bird.
Of course, you got the fucking trash man. Yeah, boy.
Nice.
Hell
How
yeah.
could look anybody that's tangentially related to Claw in any single way is gonna have some sort of Family Guy link in some form or fashion.
Hey, our
It's
Saturday
bound to happen.
D&D game has a baby griffin that we named Peter, and an owl bear that we, of course, named Lois. So,
Of
you
course.
know, it's
And,
in the
it's-
DNA.
It's a
Amazing.
bit beat up, but here's my copy of Rainbow Rising.
Oh,
Ooh.
nice.
Oh,
I gotta
what?
listen to more Rainbow too. Everything. It's one of those
It bangs.
bands where everything I've ever heard from them, I've loved it, but I just like haven't sought out more.
I feel naked. I don't have any of anything from a previous episode to show off.
Unfortunate.
We're in a unique position, whereas the last episode wasn't.
was audio
video?
only. So yeah, we
Yeah,
can
that's
mention.
true.
All
I
right.
only have 2 visual aids for the upcoming albums.
I
So-
should have worn one of my fucking Wu-Tang shirts or something, but
There's
I
still
dropped the
time.
ball.
We can pause.
That's fine. It's fine. I'm too lazy. My back hurts. I'm old.
That's fair. All right. So I think we'll go camera order, which would be Claw, me, Tristan, Caddy.
Nice.
Okay.
Go ahead and send me the album art of what you're gonna talk about first, so I
All
can put
right.
it up.
Let me see here. What goes first? I have these just in my big list of like 20, and I'm just kind of going through. I guess we'll start with the one you've got in the thumbnail there. 36 Chambers from Wu-Tang Clan. I was just talking about them.
Yeah,
That's another sort of recent find. I guess I'll track down that cover for you there. Sort of a recent find for me. I mean, like, this is the album that basically made me like rap music. There was like a few songs here and there that I was like, yeah, this is pretty cool, but I was never like super big on anything with like a full rap album. But like, you listen to this and it's the combination of like, I mean, this is the seminal album. I mean, most people have probably heard this. I assume all of you guys have at least heard a song from this.
Yeah.
You know, so I was about to say, I don't know if I'm the only person that could say this. I was introduced to Wu-Tang through Wu-Tang Taste the Pain on PS1. That's how I was introduced to Wu-Tang. And that was when that was when I was making my video. So I'd never heard a Wu-Tang thing ever until I found the controller. And I remember, like, I was like, hey, do you know what? I'll give it a listen. And I remember Bring the Ruckus, but I didn't listen to much else of it. So I'll have to definitely go back into it.
Yeah, I mean, it starts off on a bang with that, and there's a lot of lore surrounding it. I mean, as a podcast of 4 white men, it's worth mentioning that a lot of what goes into this album is stuff that's just culturally, like, it was very new for me to learn about, like, what is it? Oh fuck, I forget the name. The 5% thing.
Oh yeah. I can't remember.
Yeah, it's basically like the black, like, Muslim thing.
Like
so like
I'm uncultured. What do you mean? What does this refer
to? I'm not.
Can you talk about it? Can you talk about it?
I can talk a bit. I'm not the one to go fully into it, but like, for instance, there's a line in, I think it's Chessbox and the Mystery of Chessbox, and it might be a different song in the album, but it's a line that RZA says that's like, zigzag, zig-a-law, jam is fatal. And it's like, yeah, zigzag, zig is like a whole leg, arm, head. It's this weird, just bizarre lore that you have to like, you have to read all of the like genius lyrics and be like, this is what they're referencing here. This is what this type of thing means.
Yeah, a ton of references to like Hong Kong films, like
of course. Well, that's the thing.
And stuff.
And if I upset anybody with my insensitivity in this podcast, it was an AI. It wasn't me. I'm sorry.
Okay, this is again Cadbot.
Yeah.
It's
We haven't.
Cadbot, what do you have to say about the current political situation?
I think they need more policemen.
Wow, that's a statement that you might get in trouble for.
Sorry it took so long for that response.
I don't even know what you're referring to.
Yeah, sure. It's any of them, all of them.
But yeah, I always found, again, as like a white, and my dad was one of those who called rap music is just crap without the C.
Yeah,
that kind of thing.
The same,
yeah. And so it was always like a little inaccessible to me for various reasons. But the thing about Wu-Tang Clan is that I did realize very quickly, it's basically like all of my, like, Arion or whatever, but just very different, because it's like, this is just a bunch of fucking dorks. Yeah. This is a bunch of fucking nerds. Ghostface Killer is named after a character from a movie.
Yep.
Old Dirty Bat. Well, no. There was a Ghostface Killer before that in like an old Hong Kong movie. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that makes more sense.
Yeah, and like Old Dirty Bastard's whole thing is, being a drunken monk and all of that. They're all like, the surface level is the Hong Kong, martial arts films, but then you go deeper and you hear lyrics like on the second album, Method Man references Ghost Rider, and there's multiple references to like Marvel shit, and of course
Cage.
And then of course Inspector Deck went on to do Sarface, which is like fully comic book themed, and then you get like, MF Doom is like based on Doctor Doom, and it's just, the further down you go, like, just because there's like this big cultural difference, it's like there's definitely things that everyone can like pick up on in this that can kind of ease you into like understanding the rest of it, at least to an extent. I mean, I'm not going to pretend that I understand the experience or anything, but like it's more accessible, I guess. And there's some argument to the effect of like, is it to be accessed by me? And I respectfully,
it was published, publicly for mass consumption. If anything, like the way that you just described, like all the, the almost poetry, I guess, if you describe it in any other weird way, but like the references and the lore and the all that kind of stuff. You know what? I don't see it as a net negative to get the messages out to as many people as possible.
Some people disagree, but I feel that way. Yeah,
I feel the same way. It's like the good thing is like a lot of rap is really accessible when you like, because a lot of it is like similarly coded and like a lot of things that like Wu-Tang is very nerdy in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
I'll say it like that. But so is like Childish Gambino. Like,
oh yeah, Tyler the Creator.
Oh yeah, Tyler the Creator, Odd Future especially, like that whole group.
Yeah.
Even okay, obviously going completely off the race and everything, but like Eminem even is pretty nerdy.
Oh god,
a lot of the early stuff anyway. Like it. But then that that you could argue that's almost for lots of people a bridging gap. Like I knew loads of people growing up that were like not into rap, and then Eminem was like the beginning of that. And you could say it's for deeply rooted, whatever, culturally not bigoted, but just like
it's easier for me to look at this guy and listen to him or something.
Yeah, I guess, but then like the UK 90s 2000s experience is completely different from Canada, which is different from America. So I just remember people growing up, and then they would get into everything else, and it was like, cool, this is cool.
You guys had a good rap scene starting to like form at that time too. Like,
listen, I'm going to be talking about 90s trip hop in a little bit, so that's heavily Brit. But the 36 Chambers Wu-Tang Clan is a collective of 9+ people. There's also Capadonna later on and some other like associated people, but it's mainly the core 9, and they're the ones that are on 36 Chambers. Their later albums, Wu-Tang Forever is pretty good too. I like that a fair deal. There's some really great songs on like their third album. I think it's The W is the name of that one.
I think so.
But there's also some real shit on there too. There's just some stuff like my favorite member of the group is Old Dirty Bastard, and I love everything he does, like his solo stuff. But then that third album, he has a song where I guess he was in jail at the time, so he recorded it through a fucking telephone, and it was just the worst lyrics, and just it was so I couldn't stop thinking about like the prison guard that had to stand there while he was singing into a phone like that.
Do you think he leaked it? Do you think he was like, hey yo, this next verse?
Yeah, maybe. I mean,
for the longest time until I started work on my accessories video a few years back, and then we played Wu-Tang with the Wu-Tang controller, and then you have the roll call and you have the character names and the people you can play as. We were playing it, and Karis was sitting next to me, and then she was looking at the screen and was like, "Are you telling me that his name isn't dirty old bastard?" I was like, "Oh no, it's ODP." But the way she said it, it's like, do you know what? I think dirty old bastard in English is just so much funnier.
That's what he'd been if he was born in London. That's what he would have been.
That would be the English ODP. Yes, yeah.
But the first album is, and it's an interesting thing because surrounding that first album, 36 Chambers, you also have like Method Man's Tikal. You've got I forget the name of the Jizza one from that time. Liquid Zords is his. There was like a famous album from Inspector Deck that was supposed to release, but it got fucked up in I think a flood in RZA's basement studio. Ooh. So it like got lost, and that one took a while to like, he finally got one out, and it was fine, but it wasn't like the mythical lost amazing album that it was going to be. And you got like Return to the 36 Chambers from ODB. So it's like this whole collective of people that had their own albums, but then also just came together on 36 Chambers. And it's a flawless album. I mean, it's got no skips. There's like some songs definitely that I like more than others, but I'm never gonna skip over Tears or whatever. It's just the beats go so fucking hard. I really recommend if you get into the album, you got to check out I think it was Hulu series,
Yes.
Wu-Tang and American Saga.
I was gonna mention that if you didn't.
It's a semi-fictionalized, autobiographical.
Yeah,
But it is fiction because there's like segments where it's like an animated part where Ghostface and someone else, I forget, but they're like beating up people in a fucking music studio, and it's like definitely heightened fiction, but it is based on the actual story, and yeah, you learn so much about like the process of how RZA got into what he was doing, because he was a rapper and also the main DJ for the whole thing.
Yeah, he was kind of like the lead.
Yeah. He mixed all of the original albums, I believe. So like Tikal and all the ones that I mentioned were like RZA joints, and you find out about him getting his first like mixing board, and there's this amazing sequence where he's like learning how to use it, and he's like raising the dials, and like the drummer in his cognitive realm will disappear as the drums get lower, and the guitar player will get more prominent. It's like this visualization of the process of sampling that's really amazing. So definitely also check that show out. But the album itself, I mean, there's not much more to say about it. Check it out. It's amazing. If I had to recommend one song, it would be The Mystery of Chess Boxing. It's immaculate. I think that's the one that has the Master Killa verse as well, which is, he only gets one verse on the album. He gets much more on the second album, but Master Killa's one verse on Enter the 36 Chambers is one of my favorite parts on the album. And so it's nice that they gave him more to do later on. But that song also has Method Man and ODB, who are like my two favorite parts of I have shirts for both of them. So yeah, check that out. Wu-Tang Clan, Enter the 36 Chambers. That's my first boy.
Yeah.
I guess it's Enter the Wu-Tang 36 Chambers, but yeah.
I mean, hey, 36 Chambers.
Yeah, Shaolin Shadowboxing and the Wu-Tang Sword Style.
All right. It's my turn now. I think I'll knock out Comfort Eagle by Cake, which is a classic 90s album, as it were. If you've heard any of their songs, you've probably heard Short Skirt / Long Jacket, which is a classic song, but they've got so many other hits on there. I have a fondness for ska. I'll admit that. I've been safe.
That's why I've never heard of. I was gonna say, how have I not heard of this? Yeah, I don't dislike ska. I just never really listened to it, so that explains why I haven't heard about what you're talking about.
I'm in safe company. I feel like I can talk about ska with you guys and not feel judged.
I've enjoyed some ska. I'm
ska isn't bad.
Jokingly shitting on it, but anybody who grew up playing the Tony Hawk games is not going to turn their nose up at ska.
Exactly. This Short Skirt Long Jacket was used in the opening of Chuck. If anyone has ever watched that show, good show. I
don't remember the song, but I definitely watched the show.
Well, they didn't use any of the singing lyrics, but they always did a dun 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 dun. I'm not able to do the guitar tunes very well. But yeah, there's again the title track "Comfort Eagle" is amazing. There's some great instrumentals on here. I'm just gonna recommend it because I also want everyone else to talk, and I don't really have too much to say about the album. It's just good. I like listening to it. I've replayed it a few dozen times over the last 10 years, so I figured I'd put it on here and recommend it to people. And Tristan, it's your go.
Oh damn! Already. All right.
I want to get through this one fast.
Wait. Do you have a one song that you want people to hear?
I said Comfort Eagle.
Okay.
Yeah. The title track. It's one of my favorite songs from them, and it's one of their weirdly least played. But continue.
Sounds like it sounds like a homemade American-grown mattress company.
It really does.
It actually, yeah, it does. All right, so my
That's
pick
my Pillow
is
Guy's next venture. Sorry.
yeah. Well, I wonder what raises number he's gonna sell it for now.
Oh
boy.
god.
But my pick for number 6. I kind of did these all in order of preference, which is why the bottom half of my list is constantly changing. But mine
That's
is
a good idea. I should have done that. Shit.
Sleepless in Brooklyn by Alexandros, the Japanese band. You might know them. They did one of the Bleach openings and the opening for Judgment, the Yakuza game.
Okay.
And both of those are on this album.
Oh, nice.
And
Shout out
that's
to
actually that's my one song. Arpeggio is genuinely my favorite song, which is wild because there's some really, really good songs that I've listened to. But it's kind of it does everything. It does rock, it does punk, it does rap, it does like all sorts of. I mean, obviously, it doesn't do like oh they wa, but it doesn't do like wild out there genres. But man, it's just really good. I listened to it this morning, and I used to think that there was like one skip on the album just because it kind of doesn't fit, but no. Like listening to it actually now full on through, everything fits. Everything fits in place. Everything's good. Like I don't know how to explain it, but like you got Last Minute Arpeggio, Straight into Mosquito Bite, banger by the way. You got oh man, like even closing out the album, Snow Sound is one of the best songs that I've ever heard. It's really good. A lot of it's in Japanese, so I understand that there's a bit of a language barrier, but I mean, shit. I learned arpeggio phonetically. It's good enough to pass that barrier.
Yeah.
Is it good enough to pass that barrier, but also perform it comfortably live on stream without coming across as incredibly insensitive?
No. It is just genuinely really good. Just really good rock.
Cool.
Although I would recommend probably not playing it on stream because of copyright.
Yeah. I mean, you can do a karaoke stream.
I meant no, yeah, that's what I meant. I meant you singing it because if you can phonetically get it right, but make it also sound, respectful and not like you're doing a bad impression.
English.
Oh no. I only do that to like the cheesy Yakuza songs.
I feel like
Judgment. Yeah.
Everybody's got a Gangnam Style in them, I guess.
I'll have to check that out because I've definitely been looking for more J-rock. I got into some of the like Visual K stuff a little bit recently. Like there's the band Acid Black Cherry is pretty cool. So yeah, this sounds like something that would be up my alley.
Yeah, definitely recommend it. Like if you don't have time for the full album, definitely listen to Arpeggio. It's written in katakana, so it's Arpeggio. But man, it's so good. So that's kind of all I had to say about this. It's just man, it's good. Like it's not one of those that everybody knows, so we can just talk at length about it. But it's just a really good album.
Nice.
All right,
Caddy, what's yours?
Yes.
Oof. Okay. Right. Well, let's go with the top first, so list 1. I'll go over as quick as I can. If I remember correctly, I must have left off at Paranoid by Black Sabbath. I'm hoping that's where I left off.
I think that's
familiar, yeah.
Yeah, so after that, do you want me to put images in the chat, by the way, or are you good?
Yes.
I'm working on it, but yeah, definitely if you can.
Real quick, bye-bye.
Okay,
Still here,
yeah.
guys. I'm gonna run and piss, but continue talking. I can still hear you guys.
Yeah, sure.
Very good.
Well, can we hear you? Is the main question.
No.
I guess we're
He's
gonna
gone.
find out.
Hopefully we can't hear him piss. Yeah.
Okay, cool. In which case, I am going to paste that then. Okay, so 6th for me, favorite albums is Blondie's Eat to the Beat, the album that immediately followed Parallel Lines, which is arguably their best album, just the most solid, most radio friendly, most catchy. But I don't know, Eat to the Beat doesn't fuck around. It doesn't. It takes risks, and I like that. It's like you get a band that had probably the biggest album that they ever released ever, and had every single fucking #1 single off of it, one way or another.
Pretty Baby, Heart of Glass, all of that shit, and then it's like, okay, after that you immediately come back with this, where it's like, listen, it's not the opening track, but listen to the song Eat to the Beat, and it's like, this is just people going insane. It's such an 80s aesthetic. It's very early 80s aesthetic, but I say that in a cocaine way as well. It just smashes it out. It basically takes everything that people like in the kind of slick production and, you know, like I said, the accessibility and friendliness of Parallel Lines, but then it matches it with their roots as a punk band, really. Like, I wouldn't say they were like a strong politically, you know, charged punk band or anything, but they were, you know, they were kind of that era. And this is where they fully start going new wave. We're going to do more synth stuff. We're going to do more of this, more of that. But we're also going to just make it sound more raw. And as a drummer as well, Clem Burke, the drummer of Blondie, is one of the most underrated of all time. And again, so many tracks on this, it's just him losing his shit. And I don't know, it's not about, like, you know, people like Joey Jordison from Slipknot, all these people can play quickly, but he is just like, he's like, it's almost like you kind of wind up a wooden monkey drumming toy and then let it go, and it's just like a metronome level of precision, but super fucking quickly. And there's tracks on this. Yeah, Eat to the Beat is a perfect example. He just doesn't stop. It's about 2 minutes and 10 seconds, and he just fucking goes for it. It's one of the only songs when I'm practicing on drums that exhausts me after about a minute and a half. It's just non-fucking stop. And yeah, another one, Accidents Never Happen, is another one where he's like, he's doing like 16th notes on the rims of the toms, but instead of the hi-hat, and then he's moving back and forth between the hi-hat and the rims of the toms, and like alternating with the snare and everything, and it doesn't sound particularly impressive or difficult, but when you try it, it's like, how did he do this without making a single mistake? It's like, it's just mental.
Yeah, and on the rims of the toms too, it's not like you're just hitting the center of the drum.
Exactly, and there are loads of tracks from loads of bands where, like, you know, hitting the rims isn't exactly, you know, new science or anything, but at the speed he's doing it, you would expect to hear he might have accidentally hit the skin of the tom once or scraped it, and it's like, no, it is just machine gun point accuracy.
And you know, that was back in the day when they were actually like doing it fully themselves and all that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. But yeah, no, it's just one of those things, like, I'm pretty sure everybody knows Atomic by Blondie. That's from this album.
I know my mom used to really like Blondie, so I should probably.
My mom
Blondie fucking rule.
Huge on Blondie, and no doubt.
Yeah, Blondie fucking rule. And another one of those bands, we were talking about this earlier, another one of those bands where a greatest hits or a best of doesn't really cut it. Like, their first album is pretty damn solid for a debut. Their second album is arguably one of their best as well. Plastic Letters, fucking amazing shit. It's just, there's a mood to Blondie. It's a very, like, alleyway, like a New York City alleyway kind of punk. I can't really describe it. It's classy.
I'd say it's like, it's got a little bit of sleaze to it, but not like, you know what I mean, where it's like,
it's a majestic sleaze. I think it's you get all the other members of the band that, like, some people know the names of, some people don't, and then just Debbie Harry takes over the whole fucking thing, then ends up in Videodrome because she can just fucking do that because she's Debbie Harry.
And she's incredible in that movie too.
Yeah, she's good. She's good, and also, you know, you're gonna smack out multiple albums over the course of like 5 years and get multiple #1 singles, build a fan base, you know, do all of this shit, go on Videodrome, and then you finish off your day by being a guest on the Muppets. You know, she was just that kind of person, and that energy comes through, I think, the most on Eat to the Beat. It's I wouldn't say it's for everybody. I would say probably try Parallel Lines if you want to just have a better idea of a more accessible sound. But this is, for a follow-up, it's like it could potentially sound career killing compared to Parallel Lines, but it just isn't. It's just raw. I love it. I love it for that.
Okay, yeah. So if oh god, I would say, do you know what? Yeah, the track "Eat to the Beat." It's not the opening track. The opening track is "Dreaming," which is another fucking banger. But yeah, like no, "Eat to the Beat" is like it's just it only takes like just over 2 minutes of your time. You're either gonna love it or you're gonna hate it. But it just it picks you up, and then that's the end of it. It's like, do you want to keep going or do you just want to skip it? You know, it's that kind of song. But yeah.
My question for you though is, can you actually eat to the beat of that song?
If you can, then Jesus Christ, we're talking boogie here. I mean, I don't know how it's possible. I don't know how it's possible, man.
Yeah, you'd have to be one of those competitive eaters like Kobayashi, just kind of mowing down.
I'd be more worried not even about eating to the beat of the song. I wouldn't be eating about the quantity and more the speed. Honestly, it's more about jaw ache than tummy ache, I would say.
Ooh.
Okay.
But yeah, it's almost like, I mean, if all you got to do is look at the album cover. It's almost like that kind of, you know, what do you call that kind of aesthetic? The 80s neon-y, like VHS-y kind of thing, like. It's almost
that album cover reminds me of the Sega Master System game boxes.
Yes, exactly.
Graph paper.
It's like when I see that kind of aesthetic, I think of this album straight away because it just encapsulates it and cartoonifies it. It's like in a positive way, it's like what Grease did to the 50s, if you get what I mean.
I get what you mean.
Yeah, it's weird, but yeah, so that's what I'd go with there. Runner up, where did I get on the runner ups? I'm just gonna have a quick look, see.
No, right. So Tristan is enjoying a very nice pipe for the listeners.
This pipe smoking motherfucker over. What's in your pipe?
It's you know what? I'll tell you on the next episode.
Ooh, all
right.
Episode.
Tune in to Loud Equals Funny.
Cliffhanger.
What is the episode we're on? I should know that. Good question.
Episode
sadly, it is not intoxicating. Which
what a shame.
Maybe soon.
Right. Okay. So yeah, I just had to do a little bit of a rearrange there because I realized that I'd already talked about Disraeli Gears by Cream in the last, because that's the 5th one of my list, but I'd moved that forward in the list for some fucking reason, so I've just moved it back where it should have been. Yeah, runner up. 6th is the Cranberries. No need to argue. I would have put this more in my newer finds list because they are relatively new to me personally. I hadn't heard Zombie until Karis introduced me to it a couple of years ago.
Not even Zombie. Wow.
Never heard it. I had never heard it.
Is that from this album?
Yeah, that's from this album. Okay. And do you know the weird thing about it? It's the only song that sounds like that. It's the only grungy kind of song on it, and it's a classic. It's great. Like, I heard it and I was like, I can't believe I missed out on this, and I'm more surprised I missed out on it purely because my dad's side of the family are entirely Irish, and it's just I listened to so many Irish groups and so many Irish bands, and the Cranberries were never one of them that ever came up in any conversation, or like Dolores's singing style, and the only person that can just about get away with, you know, the screeching and the kind of straining and the almost borderline yodeling while talking about murdered babies. Like, it's a weird balance, but they somehow managed to get it. But I mean, you know, that's just but that's just Zombie. The rest of this album does not sound like Zombie, so please don't go into it thinking it's going to be like that. But there is the same level of, you know, despair, the same level of anger, but often just on more floating, more acoustic, more gentle ballads. And it's just, it ranges from totally chill and relaxing. Like the opening track, "Ode to My Family," is like super floaty and super relaxing and serene. And then it goes off into a slightly more upbeat song that's a bit more kind of radio single. And then I think after that, track 3 is Zombie. And then it's like, oh, okay. And then it goes back into acoustic again, and it goes more into a kind of, you know, borderline Irish instrumentation and stuff. But it then starts talking about, you know, people that carry babies for 9 months and then their babies get murdered and stuff like that. It gets really dark, and but it's handled so gracefully and it's handled so gently. And I think Dolores's voice makes that work as well as it does. And yeah, like I've only just started getting into the rest of their albums as well. I went back to the previous album as well. Everybody's doing it, so why can't we? Why shouldn't we? I can't remember what it's called, but that's got Linger on it, which is another one of their biggest hits.
Oh, yeah.
So if you know Linger, that's what most of the Cranberries sound like. Like Zombie is a one-off. It's mostly that kind of thing. But No Need to Argue just gets really fucking angry. Like it's a surprisingly angry album for such gentle instrumentation. Absolutely, definitely.
Great.
Yeah, definitely my runner-up on that one, and I'm really upset that none of my dad's family introduced them to me, or my dad specifically. He was the music guy in my family, so yeah, very weird. And then when it comes to newer finds, and I don't know if this is going to be a shock to some people or not, we will see. A more recent one where it's like every single track I fucking loved, and I don't know why it's taken me so long to get to hear it. I'd never listened to Alice in Chains before. Dirt is fucking awesome.
Holy shit! Yeah, Dirt is really fucking good.
I never listened to the whole thing, but I definitely like some of the stuff on there.
Dude. I was like, I'd always heard about it, and then I think there was a period. It might have been related to what's been going on over here, but I kind of got to a point where I was like, I just need to listen to more venty kind of music, if you know what I mean. And I was like, I was going through like. I'd never listened to In Utero before. I'd never listened to the whole thing, and that was an experience. It's not my favorite Nirvana project, but it's an experience. And it's like, I was thinking like, oh well, what other kind of grungy kind of things have we got there? And then I started getting into a little bit of Pearl Jam, and then I was like, okay, it's not quite as hard going as Nirvana is, but then this fucking beast comes along, and it's like. Yeah, Them Bones opening track. Fucking if you go in with track 1 of this album and you like it, then you're gonna love the rest of it.
Is this the one with Wood?
Yes, I think so.
That's a really fun one to play on guitar.
Yeah, there's another one. See, because this is so new. I don't know the whole track list yet, but yeah, do you know what? It's weird, right? I had always assumed that Alice in Chains, because people did listen to them when I was growing up in the 2000s at school. Yes, it is Wood. Wood was on there. Wood was on there. But then I'd always assumed it was kind of just, not to be insulting, but just kind of emo whiny music, and it's not. Like I don't know why I thought it was. But yeah, no, Junkhead was another one that stood up to me as well. Like very, very dark, very bleak. But yeah, like it's just there's so many fucking good songs. Down in a Hole, Rain When I Die. Great name of a song. Great name of a song. But yeah, I'd never listened to them before. This convinced me to give them more of a go, and I'm very, very looking forward to going back through their discog. So yeah, that's my sixth newer find, and that was a more recent one. I had to add that one in for this podcast, so there you go.
Hey.
Nice.
All right, this would be your turn, Claw.
Okay, well, I deliberated over this one a little bit. This is a band I have to include on there, but I was going to pick a different album, and that was what was on the list, and I changed my mind, and I went with... It's interesting, I went with the album that I first listened to from this band, but it's also the follow-up to the album that I get my name from, which would be Deadwing. This is the album Fear of a Blank Planet from Porcupine Tree. And they're a British progressive rock band. They've been going since the early 90s, I think. And it's a band that goes through, like, it's one of those bands that has eras. So, like, their early first few albums are much more psychedelic. And then Stupid Dream and Lightbulb Sun, which is the one I was going to have on the list, are more... People call them kind of like progressive rock Radiohead in that era. It's kind of like the Bends with a little bit of a prog twist. And then 2000s on, they go into this kind of more metal sort of direction. But Steven Wilson does not have a lot of respect for like metal fans. Like he likes the sound or whatever. But similarly with the band Opeth, once they stopped doing the growling vocals, a lot of the like metal fan people were like, "This is stupid, this is cringe," and it's like, no, you're just an idiot. I mean, you can probably appreciate it if you just like listen to it and, whatever. But Fear of a Blank Planet is an interesting one. The name's based on Fear of a Black Planet from Public Enemy. And it's a similar kind of like socially aware album. It's slightly boomerish take on like the kids today. Like the title track is basically about like a young man. I guess the whole album is sort of about a young man. And his like, you were saying whiny emo shit. This is sort of like reflecting on that in the third person in a way. Like here is a teenage person who's going through, just complete apathy about everything. Like sex is kind of fun, but just another one of all the empty ways of using up the day. And songs about like what would happen if I died and my fucking family had to like spread my ashes. Songs about the extreme use of like various prescription drugs to like numb the pain and stuff like that. And it sounds pretty heavy, and it is pretty heavy, but it's also just, I don't mean like heavy in the metal sense, like there's definitely parts of that, but it's also just I don't know, just a really melodic and it's kind of like what you were saying about the Cranberries album. Like it's a lot of dark subject matter that's it's not as up its own ass as you would think that it would be. Also, Caddy, the song Anesthetize, has a very good solo from Alex Lifeson of Rush.
Really?
Yeah, it's like a 17 to 20-minute song. Yeah, there you go.
There you go. That I was going to say, is it more than 10 minutes? I was going to ask was the next question.
It's like 20 minutes long. Yeah, I think it's the longest one on the album.
Thumbnail's been justified.
There you go. It's just a great album, and they've got other stuff too. Like again, the one that came before this was the album Dead Wing, which is a great album generally, but like I don't know, it's got a less. Fear of a Blank Planet is only like 5 or 6 songs, I think, and so it's one of those where it's like it's hard to justify skipping any of them. Like even if you don't like this song as much as the other, it's like such a complete experience. And like Dead Wing is a little more spread out. There's some songs that are just a little slower, and like the song Lazarus is like, whatever. But Fear of a Blank Planet was the first one I ever heard from them, and it got me right into the pipeline, and all of their stuff since then. They've only had 2 albums since then, and they both kind of feel a bit like this. The Incident is another one that's a little bit long in the tooth. It's like a double album, but a lot of great stuff on there. And then their most recent one from a couple years ago, I actually got to see them do the tour for that. Their first show in like 10, 13 years or something like that. Like their last concert was like in the early 2010s, I think. And so I got to see their first show back. And they also played a song from Lightbulb Sun that they hadn't played since 2003. So I'm just eternally grateful that I got to be there for that night. It's one of the best nights of my life. Just check out Fear of a Blank Planet if you're into progressive rock at all, or progressive metal, or even just any kind of rock. If this sounds like it might be up your alley, it's very approachable. It's not the kind of odd, weird time signature shit. There is the like 20-minute song, but it's digestible in a way that like, I don't know, Arion's Into the Electric Castle might not be, or like Thick as a Brick by Jethro Tull or something. It's like a little more dense to get through, but this is a little bit more, it's like radio friendly in a way. If I had to recommend one song, I wouldn't go with the 20-minute one, even though it's probably my favorite. I guess I'd go with the title track, Fear of a Blank Planet. It's just got such a good like riff and it's so driving, and it really sets the tone for the whole thing. So yeah, that's my pick.
I gotta be honest as well. I was always, because I'd never listened to Porcupine Tree before or anything. I don't know the albums. I don't know the songs. I always assumed that your YouTube name came from the fact that it was like you were a bird and you've got one broken wing because of your arm.
The reasons for the name are multifaceted.
Yeah,
it's
also Darkwing Duck as well.
I was about to say
I thought it was like Darkwing Duck with no arm. That's what I thought it was.
No, I think I named myself after the album, and only later did I realize what a happy coincidence that was.
It's like, oh, yeah, hey, all right.
It's a bit better than Blank Dork, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's more accurate.
All right. I think it's my
Next
turn
is
now.
you.
Yes.
Yep.
All right. I'm going with Full Moon Fever by Tom Petty.
Ooh.
Oh, got some Petty in there.
Yes. Also, this is the
There he
image
is.
I found of the first decent quality one. Thank you, Google.
Yeah,
your
I had to
results have
find-
been amazing.
Oh yeah,
I had to get a,
never ever do that because the first result is always the Wikipedia like 200
200,
or
yeah,
200.
yeah.
Yeah.
256.
Yeah, this is the only other one that was any decent quality. Again, thank you, Google.
If you go into the tools and select large,
Yeah.
like image size large, then typically you'll get something in decent quality. But if you want like full resolution scans, you're shit out of luck.
That's
absolutely.
annoying. So I like what could be called dad rock, certain
fair.
Americana classics, and there is no more dense like classic rock album than Full Moon Fever. I think you've got the opening track is fucking Free Falling.
Oh, wow.
That alone is such a good start. Then I Won't Back Down, Love is a Long Road, which was used in the GTA 6 trailer. Running Down a Dream, You're So Bad,
That's
which
the banger.
You're So Bad is amazing.
Wow, this has got a lot of
Someone who's listening
fucking
to this-
bangers on it. Damn.
Yeah, someone who I know who's listening to this is very happy that I mentioned that song in particular. You know who you are. The Apartment song is really good too. It's got a lot of good tracks. I don't think there's even like one skip on this, and there's some that are kind of like lesser Petty songs, but they're still fucking good. It's an amazing album. Like, if you've listened to a classic rock station for more than an hour, you've heard at least one of these songs. I guarantee it.
I mean, some of those are just like some of the most famous classic rock songs ever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you say that your criticisms of this are maybe a bit petty?
A little bit petty.
A little bit.
It's Tom Petty, again, rest in peace, has been a part of so many like classic rock songs. Like, if you look at his discography, also, thank you, Tristan. But if you look through his discography, there's so many great songs. But this album alone has a majority.
It's got
of
the
them.
bangers.
Yeah.
Check it out.
I'll have to. My dad used to play a lot of Tom Petty when we were driving around in the car, and definitely some of those, but like I never heard the full thing. So I'll have to give it a shot.
It's got a lot of good songs. Anyways, Tristan.
Yes.
I keep mine short and sweet because I like hearing you guys talk. You guys are better.
Holy Diver by Dio, you know what it is.
Oh, fuck yeah.
I got that shit on CD. I wish I had it on vinyl, but hey,
someday.
At least I got the video game.
Oh my
That's
God.
true, you do.
Dude.
I forgot that you had that. Let me go.
It's one of your coolest things in your collection.
I
Which is already a
genuinely-
really cool collection.
I didn't think to pull this up until I was like right before. I was like, oh, hey, wait, hang on. I have Holy Diver on NES.
Now, is that actually based on this album, or is it just unrelated?
The name is based on it, and I'm pretty sure a few of the names are like the in-game names. Like Randy, I think is.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool.
And I mean, Randy's master is Ozzy.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's.
Tangentially
It is-
related. I found out the other day that apparently in like 2002 they were meant to make a game about Ozzy Osbourne, and it was called like Ozzy's Black Skies or something, and then it ended up
wow.
falling through.
Cool.
So yeah,
I remember when Brutal Legend came out and it had like Ozzy Osbourne stuff. I was still in my phase where I was like,
oh dude,
and then
he's
I
the
never
best part of
played
that game. He's the best part of
of
that
it.
game.
That game is all over the place. I've played it.
I've heard
It
it.
is.
It like
played
transforms
twice.
into an RTS halfway through or
Yeah,
something.
it's like
Yeah,
kind
it's
of-
very weird.
Kind of like right after where the demo ended, it suddenly becomes a real-time
Yeah.
strategy game.
I remember that being
Very
like
cool.
a point of contention because everyone was like, "Wow, this demo is so fucking cool."
It was.
And then they get the game, and it's just like, "Oh,
Yeah,
this is an RTS."
it's all worth
got
it though,
tricked.
to
I have
have.
a brain for this.
I think it's worth it to have like Ozzy Osbourne being your like fucking mechanic and your merchant as well though. It's like
Oh,
you
yeah.
just go in. It's like, oh no, you've got demon flesh on your bumper. Like, oh, it's great.
There's-
Of
It's like
course
it's the
we gotta
most. It's the
have
most
Dio
like
here.
yeah. He actually sounds. He actually speaks English in it. It's great. Like he
I
can
mean,
barely fucking talk. Anymore.
It's worth noting that like all of so you got the JoJo character Dio, obviously,
Yeah,
for the
it's
audio
Dio.
listeners. most of the like classic rock or whatever music references in JoJo tend to be the stands and stuff, right? But Dio is like a
Well, for
character
the first two
named...
parts, it couldn't have been.
Yeah, but like the Dio is like a character named after that in a way that's just, it's like one of the most crucial characters to the whole thing, and he's like right in the first episode or first chapter or whatever, and yeah, so Dio was clearly pretty important.
Yeah. And I mean, Ronnie James Dio is essentially the king of metal. Like if there was one title for king of metal, it would probably be Dio.
Don't give it to King Diamond, give it to him.
Yeah. But I mean, it's just a really good album. It's got bangers all around. I mean, there's the obvious ones, Stand Up and Shout, which is a really, really good opening. Like I listened to all 5 of my albums earlier today, and like, you know, typically I'll just put on Dio and I won't really pay much attention to it because it's just good and it's like, hey, I'm listening to Dio, I feel cool.
Yeah.
But it's a really good opening track. But you know, you got Holy Diver, of course, the title track, Rainbow in the Dark, which is
that's fucking banger.
Bellissimo. But then you have like kind of underrated bangers like Invisible. Like it's fucking fantastic, and I mean, there's not really much I could say. It's Dio.
Yeah,
is it true or not? Is it true that when he did his bit in Kickapoo, they hired him and he came into the studio, did it in one take, and then just left?
I think so.
I'm not sure, but that sounds like him.
It
sounds believable. It sounds believable.
It's very believable. So a little bit of lore for this. I actually did want to choose a different Dio album because Holy Diver is just kind of an easy pick. Yeah. But like the other albums that I like, you know, Egypt, Sacred Heart, all that, they're good. They have, I would say, better highs, but they kind of got skipped, sadly. But Holy Diver has 0 skips, fantastic all the way through.
I mean, hey, sometimes like the ones that are classic like that are classic for a reason, you know?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like some
Paranoid that you picked.
Yeah, it's like I didn't want. That's the annoying thing. It's like I didn't want to seem like a basic bitch, but it's almost like, dude, it's got War Pigs. War Pigs alone makes that album perfect. Like Paranoid isn't even the best track on that album. It's
far from
it.
But it's
like,
oh boy, it pales in comparison to like Electric Funeral or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, yeah, and even like Planet Caravan, which is like the most un-Black Sabbath song they probably ever did. But it's just, I know the feeling. It doesn't feel good to agree with the masses.
I get that.
Right. I think also Fear of a Blank Planet is also like Porcupine Tree's. No, In Absentia is their biggest one, but like, yeah, it's one of their more popular ones where I'm like, do I want to be a hipster? No.
Yeah, sometimes the banger albums, the ones that everyone knows, they're just too good to be a hipster about it.
Yeah. Is that all for you, Tristan?
Yeah, that's about it.
All right.
A lot of my like top of the list picks are kind of standard picks, so not too much to be said about them.
Sick. Cool. Okay, we ready for next one from me?
Yep.
Okay, so. Right. Next one from list of absolute favorites is the Cardiagns with Gran Turismo. It's I'd never heard it, but again, this is like Keris, bless her, she has introduced me to a lot of stuff that I wouldn't have even thought about or given any attention to or anything. And I don't know if you've ever had that in relationships with people where it's
I have.
Yeah, you become obsessed with the person inside and out, and then it's like, and I think that's where our, we do have a bit of an age gap, and it's like I do think in that sense she does have a slight edge up with against me when it comes to some of the stuff that on her playlist, and it was like I hadn't heard, like, that's why I hadn't heard Zombie. Like, she'd heard it a million times, and it was like, I mean, I probably should have heard it, but being born in '94, but I just didn't. But then, if you're when you're like nearly a teenager in the same kind of era, then you would have heard that stuff. And this album is one of her favorites that she then introduced to me, and I'd never heard anything like it before. if you know anything from the Cardiagns, it's probably either Love Fall, which is one of the most and I mean this positively, one of the most pathetic songs ever written. It's so perfect at being pathetic. It's so, the way it's written, the way it's performed, like it's entirely the point. It's very good at it. But the other one is My Favorite Game, which was used, I think, in Romeo and Juliet, the Leo DiCaprio movie.
I think it was.
With the gut. And that was probably their biggest hit that they ever did.
What genre is this?
Techno grunge. I don't know how to describe it. It's
that's interesting that they put that in a Romeo and Juliet movie.
Yeah, so My Favorite Game is probably the most single friendly thing on the album, but the rest of it is very, very like again, it's like if you have Love Fall playing in your head, it doesn't even sound like that. It is just a very deep, resonant, moody, very chunky sounding album, and it's like you just don't expect it because these are just Swedish pop people. And I think I have a feeling this is the album where people kind of they either liked the Cardiagns before with Love Fall and stuff like that, and then they fell the fuck off with this album, or the people that liked My Favorite Game from it becoming a number one, I'm pretty sure it was a number one, they then flocked to this album and then probably didn't get on with the rest of it. But it's like there are ideas, there are musical ideas in here that are done with synths which sound like metal riffs. It's so difficult to describe. There's it's so difficult to describe. It's like I really can't describe it. The way I suppose I could describe it is whenever I have a new speaker, like if I get a new speaker set up for my computers, my laptops, my vinyl player, my TV, this is the album
like
I use
testing album.
This is the test album. Not necessarily because it's like, oh, the production is perfect. The bass is so fucking thick. It's so heavy. But it's not even in a kind of like band way. It's just a kind of almost a Lana Del Rey way. I really can't describe it. It's an otherworldly sounding album. It's like it's probably what emo music would have been in the 90s, but like really, really well written, really well composed. I mean, these guys are Swedish. That's all you need to know. So, you know, they're amazing songwriters. They've got it down to a math. They've got it down to a science. So
the fucking Swedes, they try to make something that's not heavy metal and it just accidentally becomes heavy metal.
Exactly.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Yeah. But there's barely any guitar riffs or any. It's not that kind of album. It's just more like Nine Inch Nails styled noises and like distorted. Like it's almost like, you know, it's the kind of album where picking up and dropping an amp is used as a sample. It's that kind of album. You know, it's it's that kind of thing. But then it's done with like a lead vocalist that's just very angelic, and it's so difficult to describe. I don't know which, because I wouldn't say My Favorite Game is the best demonstration of what that album does. So I'm gonna just get the track list up again, just so I can like look at all of them and be like, which one would be the one that would describe. Hanging Around is fantastic. Jesus Christ. Okay. I'm gonna say because when I was talking about like synth lines and shit that sound borderline like metal riffs, there's the second to last track, Do You Believe? It's one part just a pop song, and it basically just is. But like the way that they incorporate all these different sounds and like call and respond with each other, and then layer on top of layer on top of layer towards the end, it's like it just keeps fucking building. And that's the most metal kind of descriptive song, even though it's not metal at all. It's so fucking weird. It's like I would call it comfortably a grunge album, but it's not like any grunge album you would have heard
is this
before.
Kind of like that late 2000s sort of like techno rock thing that you got in a lot of like racing movies and shit like that?
It's 1998, so I'm almost certain that My Favorite Game was used ironically in Gran Turismo 2. I'm pretty sure it was used in that game. because that is a very, and the music video is them driving a car, so like you're
Okay,
not
yeah.
too far off the idea, the aesthetic, the sound, I suppose, but that's just that track. The rest of it, it doesn't sound like that, but it's very daring, it's very different, it's I can't think of anything else that sounds like it. So yeah, that would be my pick on that one. When it comes to, and yeah, I think "Do You Believe" is probably the one. I'm going to double check that is the one. Wait a minute. I'm 99% sure it is. I'm just YouTube it very, very quickly just to be. Yes, definitely that one. "Do You Believe?" So yeah, that's the one where it's like, if you like that song, you're gonna love the rest of it. But like the first, the opening track, even "Paralyzed," the bass drop. When I got my vinyl setup sorted, I made sure to get this on vinyl for one of my first tests because I had to adjust the bass level and the frequency mixing and everything on the back of the system. And the first bass drop on that opening track it's like it will make you shit yourself. It's just it's
Nice.
good. It's
Alright.
yeah, it's good.
I got it
Good
written
stuff.
down on the Allegra pad. Hell yeah. That's
With
amazing.
runner-ups, my next runner-up fave would probably go to Bada Bing Bada Boom, Machine Head, Deep
Hey,
Purple.
bada bing, bada boom. That's a good one.
Absolutely. Again, probably one of those kinds of, maybe a safe pick, I suppose, especially for Deep Purple, but it's just like fucking, again, Smoke on the Water is not the best song on the album, but every track is fucking great. It opens with Highway Star, which is just like Deep Purple.
Highway Star
quality
is
at
so
their-
good.
Yeah, Highway Star is it's what I would say. Highway. I don't even know if Highway Star was in a Guitar Hero or Rock Band game.
It was
I want to
in
say it was.
It was in
Band
Rock
1.
Band 1, yeah.
Yep.
Okay, yeah,
'Cause
like
That's
it's
where
that.
I first heard it.
It's I would argue it's one of those kinds of. It's almost like the free bird of that kind of game where
It
it's
really
almost
is.
like. Yeah, you kind of really get into it, and then it's like, okay, so now we've got another guitar solo and another keyboard solo, and yeah, and fucking.
And it's
and
also
Ian Paice-
fast,
yeah.
too.
They also,
Yeah, very fast.
But funny enough, with Rock Band 1, they had like a little intro video, like a little attract music video if you would like wait too long. And it would be them on top of the bus playing Highway Star. And it kind of fucks, honestly. I'll link it after one of this.
Oh, cool.
And then the
But
second
yeah,
game was Cheap Trick, and it wasn't as good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember that. Yeah. But yeah, like it's just got a very rich sound. It's very, very, very. I don't know. It's classic. It's classic rock. It's the early beginnings of heavier kinds of sounds and experiments and music. But the more important thing above everything, I would say, is performances, because like the groove that these songs have, whether or not what people want to argue about it being heavy metal, quote unquote, or not, it's like, yeah, just it oozes groove. Like, yeah, Maybe I'm a Leo, and Space Trucking, Lazy, especially Lazy's fucking great. But
That's
like,
the one. Their live version of that from, I forget, one of their albums. It's astounding. Yeah.
Yeah. But like, I mean, I would put it down mostly like everybody, Richie Blackmore gets credit. They all get their credit. Ian Paice, the drummer. I know I'm a drummer, so I am gonna relate more on these kinds of things. But the drum lines are just immaculate, and it's like it's such good drumming to a point where it's like, okay, it might not be the most technically amazing or incredible or whatever the fuck, but it's like when you listen to the recording, especially on Highway Star and Lazy and Maybe I'm a Leo and that kind of stuff, you can almost picture him more or less sitting behind the kit, 90-degree angle in his back, barely fucking playing it. It's that level of natural and just smooth and just. It's orgasmic drumming. It's incredible. One of my biggest influences as a drummer. Just like the whole idea of holding the sticks in such a loose way while being able to. It's borderline jazz drumming, but
Especially
made
Lazy.
Yeah, exactly, and it's just effortlessly done. It's not like powerful drumming or anything, but it is just he just fucking bounces off of the kit like absolutely without thinking. And you listen to some of the fills in Highway Star, and it's like it's not exactly impossible, but to do it in his way where it sounds as normal as he makes it sound, and just like, oh yeah, this is basic, this is just 4/4, this is just a standard rock beat, and it's like, well, no, it's not, but he can make it sound that good, which is something that you need to look out for in any band. I think it's if they can make what they're playing sound easy when it's not, then you've got talent. I think like there's just a level of like it's in their blood, and this is a very bloody record. I would say it's very it is more just classic rock stuff and a bit dad maybe, especially Smoke on the Water, and that's the most dad song on it. But like even then, like
I think that's just
even
the most
then,
dad song.
It is the most dad song, and it's an iconic riff and everything. And it's like, I don't dislike the song at all, but like when I listen to it, I'm always fixated on just the drumming, and it's like, it's like, I don't know. I don't think Ian Pace gets enough credit. Honestly, it's like, even just like the way that he introduces the band into the first verse of Smoke on the Water. Like, not many people talk about how perfectly executed that snare intro fill roll is. It's beautiful. But yeah, so Machine Head, Deep Purple is my,
I gotta say that's also one that I point to similarly, like a lot of Queen stuff where it's like people, like, as a progressive rock guy, people often stick up their noses at that whole thing, and they're like, this is too complicated, this is like nerd music or whatever, and then I'm just like, I don't know, have you listened to like a lot of Deep Purple songs, or like, again, Bohemian Rhapsody or whatever? Like, this is, it's, it's
Boho is weird, right? Because Bohemian Rhapsody is like probably the only time a song like that has ever and will ever become a number one or get radio play. So that's why I don't.
It's a damn shame because March of the Black Queen fucks.
Yeah, and it is a shame. I agree, but it's like there's a reason why, like. Fucking, I'm just picking out examples. Okay, Rush, Limelight, it became a radio hit, but then the Camera Eye didn't. It's like, I think that one is much better than the other, but I just don't know how the fuck Queen got Boho on the radio. I don't know how it happened.
They must have
popular.
They must have known someone who known someone. That's what
possibly. Or do you know what? No, actually, I know the reason. It was Freddie. It just fucking forced.
Yeah, Freddie was probably like insistent upon it.
Yeah, but it's but it's funny. That's why like people wouldn't. I don't think it would ever get grouped as prog rock because prog rock has never ever really hit the hits. It's never become a big thing, even though Bohemian Rhapsody is one of the most progressive songs of its time. But it's a one-off, and that's why I don't think people are comfortable labeling it as such. But then who cares? I like label it as what it is, because that's what it is. If you like,
exactly,
if you like a screamo song, but you don't like screamo, who gives a shit? You like a screamo song.
You just like the Sonic Frontier soundtrack. What's wrong?
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, Deep Purple on that, and then for my third list, my a newer find. Again, might be weird to some people.
I know what's coming.
Do you? Yes,
banger.
It is The Color and the Shape.
Absolute banger.
I say, yeah,
it's the Everlong album, right?
It is the Everlong album.
I cheated on my wife. Had a
new baby. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So
crazy stories.
Yeah. The only Foo Fighters track I ever knew up until I started deliberately going out and listening to some of their back catalogue was, two tracks. First one would have been Everlong because it was Guitar Hero 3. I want to say it was on Guitar Hero.
2, I think. Two was Monkey Wrench.
Yes, you're right. 3 was Everlong.
I'm trying to think of the main menu. I'm pretty sure it was 3.
Rock Band 3, Rock Band 1, and Guitar Hero 3.
Yeah, so that's my intro, quote unquote. And then I remember The Pretender being pretty massive on like Kerrang back in the day and all that shit.
Oh yeah, it was everywhere. Fucking MySpace.
And that's a great track. Pretender's great. The album's hit or miss, but the Pretender's great. Yes. But based on those two, I was like, you know what? Yeah, Nirvana are cool. Dave Grohl is cool. I like this stuff. And then what happened was, Keris, again, bless her, she got me listening to it was one of the newer ones. Wasted something. Wasted light. Wasted something.
Wasting Light.
Wasting Light.
Yes.
So that was the album, and she knew pretty much every track on that album, and she really, really likes that album, and so do I. She played it, and I was like, for some reason, again, I was almost like, I don't know if I want to say, I don't want to blame everything on my dad. It's annoying to just point the finger at your parents for everything, but it's like,
I mean,
my
sometimes
dad,
it's accurate though.
It's weird because it's like he introduced me. Without him, I wouldn't have 95% of my music taste, but at the same time I was also encouraged to not bother with 95% of my music taste, if you know what I mean. It's like it was very like he had a very rich palette, and he was very, very into it, and music has been a massive part of our family dynamic since I was born. However, like my mum was not allowed a Queen album on the shelf because he hated them that much. Like,
Absolute
just a
fucking maniac.
I mean, this is the kind of thing. It's like you can not like it, but then there's also being a that kind of person about it.
Like,
So, well, whatever the case, but like,
room.
exactly. But it's like, so that's the environment I grew up in. It's like that. So even though I know a lot about what I know, and I've been drumming since God knows when, I still am very baby with a lot of this shit that passed me by when I was a teenager and actually absorbing all of this shit. And Wasting Light, I've been led to believe a certain thing about the Foo Fighters. I was just like, maybe it's not my thing. Oh, it whatever. For whatever reason, I just skipped it. And then I heard the bridge burning, the opening track of Wasting Light, and I was like, oh, this shit fucks. This is good. And then after that, I was a little bit more encouraged to go back. And I think out of the all the ones I've done so far, I haven't done many. I think I've just done 3 of the older ones. But this was the one that stood out to me.
This one's my favorite too. So.
It's really good.
Yeah. Loads of great tracks on it. Very, very well constructed, very well played. Lots of energy. It's like a harder pop punk. It's almost like it's like a more I don't know, sophisticated early Green Day in a weird way. And then Green Day got way too over polished, and Foo Fighters just got a little bit rawer. They kind of went the opposite ways. They kind of crossed over. I'm not in love with the band, but I think it's a great album. They've got a solid collection of bops, but I can't really pick one song. I don't know the album enough yet to say for definite which ones to go with, but I mean, Everlong is great. It really is great.
Yeah.
I'd also say My Hero. That's my personal.
My Hero's great.
My Hero.
Yeah, no,
that's
a good one.
That's from them. That's from this album too.
Okay.
I
never particularly like what I've heard of Foo Fighters, but I've never also listened to a full album.
Okay, do you know what? So I was in so that's exactly, Claw, like you just said. I think that's where I was, and I just was never given a reason to think about giving them a try. I don't know why. I just was, something about them just put me off, and then I think
too mainstream,
the album,
man.
Maybe, maybe. But it was like, the album that breached me was Wasting Light. That was the album that was like, oh, okay, maybe there's something here. So if you want to get into Foo Fighters, I would say do Wasting Light. The opening track, Bridge Burning, is like, that's one of the most perfect tone setters of an album like that.
I heard it was the album they did recently. I think who was it? I think their drummer died.
Yeah, Taylor Hawkins. He was a great drummer. Great drummer.
Yeah, and they did an album, and I heard like the title track or whatever, the first track from that it was just basically like very, sad, like tribute to him. And I really like that song. I don't remember the name of it or the album.
The album is But Here We Are.
Okay, I think that was like last year or something like that.
That was right after they finished a film that I can't remember the name of. That's drawing a blank in my head, but they all shot a movie together, and then he
the horror movie, Studio something or other.
Studio
That the horror
666.
movie?
That's the one. Thank you.
Yeah,
jogged my memory. I knew it was something 666, but I was like,
the only reason I know of it is because of who's involved. To be honest,
same here. I haven't seen it yet. It's kind of a blind spot. I've been meaning to watch it, but yeah, it's like he passed away like right after production of that, so I don't think he even saw the film come out, but.
Yeah. I have not yet seen, and I've been told by everyone that knows me closely and knows me more from a music background, everyone has said you've got to watch the fucking tribute concert they did. Apparently it's just like it's just it's like okay, I know we're using this phrase a lot. It's apparently it's like just greatest hits lineup. It is just like every fucking human that means something in rock music shows up and does something fucking cool. And yeah, like I do need to see that because I heard it was really good.
I need to see that now that you've mentioned it.
Yeah, no, I weirdly what got me interested was Justin Hawkins from The Darkness. He did a thing on stage with them on that thing, and I love The Darkness, so it was like, oh, so you did something? Okay, all right. And then I think maybe they got maybe Caddy or Alex on. I can't remember, but they had like every possible person on stage doing a song or a tribute or something. Yeah, apparently it was an amazing show. So
I do want to ask you before we move on to Claw. I want to ask you: have you like just a couple bands? I want to ask just your kind of knowledge of like how do you feel about Smashing Pumpkins?
Never listened to him.
Ooh, okay. I feel like that might also be up your alley a little bit there.
Yeah. I again, this is a Guitar Hero 3 thing. I don't like Today. It's a bit too meandering for me.
Today, in the context of the album's a little bit better, but like as an individual single, I don't really like it that much.
But then, like, Rush did a movie in like 2014 called Beyond the Lighted Stage, which was basically a movie about their lives and their careers leading up to like a certain, I think it was their 40th anniversary at that point or something, and like that's a great, one of my favorite movies. It's great. But is it Billy Corgan? Smashing Pumpkins? Is it
Billy Corgan?
Who is like
Corgan,
a weirdo. There was this
he's
from a few years
very
ago.
strange.
Red Letter Media showed it, this clip where he's like on stage and it's supposed to be a concert, but he's just like eating chips from a bag and he just doesn't give a shit.
Yeah,
it's really funny. Yeah,
but however, though, he is
a troll. But
okay,
yeah, I get that impression, but yeah, but the only thing that has made me curious is that in that movie they interview him a lot when talking about Rush. So you know,
he's also
a fellow
very
connoisseur. So, I never really listened to them, so no, sadly not.
The second one is because like Foo Fighters, I kind of also mildly associate with Queens of the Stone Age, which I've got on my list, but I don't have on this episode. It'll be later on down the road, so I'll give you time.
Dude, without spoiling, I'm the same boat, and
right.
it's in. I won't say what list, and I won't say in what context, but
all right.
Yes, I have listened.
Yeah, right. All right, sweet. All right, so
I think Caddy, you have like one more to talk about too.
No, that was
the third.
That was the third?
That was the newer find. That was the newer find. Yes.
Okay.
So now it'd be you, I think.
Next up, well, I had an album on here. I had my list all sorted, and as I was saying before, they were basically all albums except for 36 Chambers. They were all albums that I had been listening to since like 2008 or something, or at least the last 10 years. But this one is one that I just found. It's from 2012. I just found it a couple months ago, and I loved it so much. It's become like the moment I heard some of the songs, I'm like, oh, this is how my next thing that I make is going to sound. And that is Love This Giant by David Byrne and St. Vincent. Never really listened to a lot of David Byrne. I was a bit of a St. Vincent fan, but once she got a little bit, again, hipster, once she got a little bit more mainstream, and it's not just because of that, it's because she actually changed her sound a lot to become more like electronica kind of dance sort of thing. She did like stuff with Dua Lipa, and she's cool enough, I guess, but like, yeah, but I was thinking of putting her album Actor on here because it's another one that's like almost no skips for me. I mean, maybe sometimes, but like there's just such great solid stuff on there. But this album, it really just it took my breath away. I was gonna say I never really listened to a lot of David Byrne. I started listening to like Talking Heads after this, and I think I get it. There's a song from him, one of his solo albums called I Feel My Stuff. And it's another one of these songs that's like,
I love it.
It's a good title. It's not really progressive rock, but it's like, it's a rock song, and it's not the trappings of prog that you think of, but it's like it's a song that progresses naturally over the course of its runtime with really interesting instrumentation and just interesting lyrics and the way he sings the lyrics. And a lot of that is present on, that was his 2008 album. I think this might have been his next project. A lot of that is present here. There's a song called "I Wish." What is it called? Oh Jesus Christ! What is the song called? Oh my God! Oh God! Oh God! This is embarrassing. This is embarrassing. It's called "I Should." It's called "I Should Watch TV." And yeah, it's like a bit of a strange song. It's so the album is mostly kind of distinctly a St. Vincent track or a David Byrne track. There's a few where they kind of overlap, but you know, and they're both present throughout. But it'll be like she's leading on this one or he's leading on this one, and so you can tell a difference between the two. I think I do prefer his side of the album. But she has some really great ones. The song Weekend in the Dust. There's just so many, like, because it's kind of a rock album, but it has like a really strong brass section thing that's going on. So like you watch them, there's a really great performance that they did of, I think, the whole album and also some other stuff from each of their careers where they were in France and they had the marching band basically where they're like singing. It'll be the David Byrne and Annie Clark, and then just these like guys doing like a conga line with fucking trumpets and shit behind them, and it's great energy on the live performance or even just the studio one. The song Who was like the big I guess single from this, but I don't think it ever reached super mainstream. It's just a really interesting, it's kind of pop, kind of rock, kind of, I don't know, again, like there's it's not big band, but I've never heard like a brass section being used in the way that it is on here. And there's some really interesting, the song, I think it's Lazarus it's another, that's one of the few on the album that's got both of them leading at different parts of the song. And that one has like almost it's got like a drum machine 80s vibe, kind of new wave-ish a little bit. And then you've got songs that are just kind of bizarre, like the St. Vincent led The Forest Awakes, which is kind of like it's one of those like story songs where it's like it's a little esoteric what it's about. It's about like nature, but also, I don't know, womanhood. I'm not exactly sure, but it's just a really captivating. It's one of those, like, I don't know what the lyrics mean, but they paint an interesting picture, even if it's the wrong picture.
That's art, man.
That's fine.
That's what good art does.
Thanks.
Yeah, no, exactly. If I haven't mentioned it yet, if I had to pick a song for anyone to listen to, it would be "I Am an Ape," which it's one of the more it's one of the David Byrne led ones, and it's just the song is just like the title, "I Am an Ape." You hear that, and I always like looking. Yeah, I always like looking at the track list of an album and like, what is this song gonna sound like? I Am an Ape? Is this gonna be like a comedy song? No, it's kind of like dark and mysterious and foreboding, but also has like an upbeat chorus, and so check that out. Also check out "I Feel My Stuff" by David Byrne, and what the hell, check out "Marrow" by St. Vincent. Just a little, get that all together, but that's my pick. New favorite for me.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
All right, we're gonna take a quick break. We'll be right back after this. Give me 1 second here, and we're back, folks. How you doing? Loud equals funny.
It's always funny here.
Exactly. All right.
Probably
So
loud sometimes.
sometimes loud, most of the time funny. We try.
There was that time with Caddy where it got really loud, so you know.
And it got very funny.
It was very funny.
That clip, which I will definitely have out before I release this, will be up here, card or description down below.
I felt like the kid with "kick me" written on his back. I was just like, "What are you guys? What's so funny? What are you laughing at?" Yeah.
I was like, I don't know how to explain it, but it just instant like Audacity overrode your settings and just snapped.
Turned you into Xbox 360 headset audio.
Oh, the original Xbox. It sounded even worse.
That's great.
It was like that, but louder. Check out the clip.
And
You
funnier.
showed me the clip.
All right, so I will go with my next one, and I'll do I'm trying to figure out which one I want to do here. The Modest Mouse one. Good news for people who love bad news.
Grow up.
It's the one with the green arrows.
Yeah, I was just scrolling up
Oh,
to
you're good. Yes, a classic album, 2004, if I can get it right off the top of my head. Modest Mouse has done a lot of different albums. I think they're still working on a new one. They've been doing stuff since the 90s. This is probably their most mainstream album, admittedly. Like, it's, you've heard Float On, you've heard, some of the other songs on this album.
Yeah, I've seen this.
Oh,
cover
that's
before.
Modest Mouse. Okay,
Yes. But this album, it is deep, it is reflexive, on top of having these kind of like singles that are, very cheerful when you kind of look at their bass level. But, World at Large is a very depressing song that leads into Float On. Ocean Breathe Salty might be one of the most depressing fucking songs they've ever made. But they've also got stuff like Dance Hall, which is, relatively upbeat, even though it's still got some depressing undertones. Good Times Are Killing Me, which is also like a song about addiction, but it's also somewhat upbeat, somewhat, very whimsical in its tone, but it's still about, a person who is an alcoholic suffering with alcoholism, but saying like, yeah, fuck it, I'll get drunk one more time, let's do this. It's a very good album.
That sounds good, yeah.
I really recommend it. Again, Modest Mouse, it's...
What genre are they?
I would say, like, pop punk-ish.
Yeah.
It's Guitar Hero music. That's the only reason I know Float On.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Which one was that? It was 3?
Three is debatably the best soundtrack.
How many of these have we said are Guitar Hero or in Guitar Hero so far? It's been like half of our picks have been in one of the Guitar Heroes. Yeah,
Guitar Hero and Rock Band are so like. As we look back, I think they're one of the most influential, some of the most influential for like pop music of that time.
Yeah.
Like.
It's funny.
I think because at the time those games were keeping the flame alive when everyone was kind of forgetting about it or moving on to the next.
I got into rock music and music. I mean, my dad played a lot of shit, but I rebelled against that because it's my dad's music, even though I obviously liked it. But then, Guitar Hero and the Tony Hawk games also. Activision fucking saved rock music for a generation.
Yeah.
Activision had a single-handedly a stranglehold on that.
Tommy Tallarico had a hand in that too.
It's so funny when you think about...
he didn't have a hand of it. He did all the songs.
He wrote
That's
Smoke
true.
in the Water. That's true.
Yeah, he
very true.
Secretly, Tommy Tallarico is every member of every band, including Modest Mouse.
He was the first American to work on Guitar Hero.
He was the first American to make music.
It's just funny talking about Guitar Hero. Back in the day, I remember there was a lot of pushback against that. I think one of the Led Zeppelin guys was like, "No, we don't want our music in Guitar Hero. You're supposed to listen to it. This is bullshit." And it's like, you are just a boomer and don't understand that this is what got me into 100 bands.
Yeah. Lars Ulrich.
And I play multiple instruments now because I played Guitar Hero. Fuck off.
Yeah. It's that and Lars Ulrich versus Napster. It's the whole spiel. I think there's just bands of a certain age where it's just whatever.
You just don't get it.
It is one of those things that Guitar Hero now, obviously, Guitar Hero and Rock Band, Guitar Hero, they tried bringing it back with Guitar Hero Live, that was a fuck up. Even though I like the 6-fret design, I'm the only person in the world who will say I like the 6-fret design, but...
Yep.
Yeah. Try finding Clone Hero.
I found out recently that Guitar Hero exists officially now.
Yeah.
Rock Band and Guitar Hero exists officially.
Yes.
It's Fortnite now.
Oh yeah, yes,
There
Fortnite
is,
Festival,
yeah.
which
If you love Billie Eilish and The Weeknd, you're fucking set.
there's
absolutely.
some
Yeah.
other songs, but not as many.
It's mostly Metallica, in fairness.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
like, I have not downloaded Fortnite on my PS5 for years, and I finally had to put the cone of shame on, and I bought V-Bucks for that fucking thing.
I need to get a new fucking guitar controller to play that shit because I'm not
Riff
doing it on
Master is
like a
great.
gamepad.
Riffmaster is so good. Riffmaster is so nice.
It's
like-
the new one. The new one.
It's
Ooh,
basically
I'll
like because like Guitar Hero and Rock Band controllers have never been able to meet in the middle, where it's like Guitar Hero strumming is really fucking clicky and loud, but the button presses are really smooth, and then Rock Band the strumming is really quiet, but the button presses are really clicky. But
Yeah,
now it's like everything's soft. Riffmaster is super soft everywhere.
I actually
it's so
like the clicky guitar.
Yeah, I prefer the clickiness
See,
personally.
But then,
See, I'm wondering-
Yeah, you
also-
say that, and then you're listening to the songs when you're playing them on the game, and you're like, "Oh my
Yeah.
god, I can fucking hear the songs."
Yeah, that's true. The problem
Hey,
with the
listen.
Rock Band controller too was that it would always fall apart. It was horrible quality.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. Tristan's pulling out. Is one.
You tell me. Hang on. I gotta turn off noise suppression.
Oh boy.
Oh my
Until-
god, it's $245. Fuck that.
Oh, yeah, you
Jeez, really?
Canadian.
Yeah, Canadian.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay, so that's like what?
That's some
Also, yeah.
fucking
Yeah.
penis music right there.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
it's
they get
probably
some
like
going on.
maybe 100 American. Canadian.
That sucks.
The Canadian exchange rate is, to put it nicely, hilarious.
Wow.
A meme. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Uh,
Tristan, you're next. Oh, Bane, did you have anything else to say about this? Did you recommend a single song?
I will recommend. I'll recommend "The Good Times Are Killing Me." It's the closing track, but it's also really fucking good. Again, it's also about alcoholism.
Yay.
Awesome.
Oh,
Yes, yay!
Cheers to alcoholism, ladies and gentlemen.
Woo!
Yeah.
All
Britain's
So,
favorite pastime.
Yeah.
I feel you.
So, my next one is Skeleton Metal 3 by Vargskelethor, which is different, damn it, from Scythe Lord, because Vargskelethor is just Joel and not Joel and Frank. Although I'm pretty sure Frank helped on this one.
Well, also, this is more comedy music, right?
Yeah, it's a very different genre. Every single song is about skeletons in some way.
Hell
You know, you have fucking
It's-
necromancer kicked out of
Those
wizard
are my
school.
favorite. No, my favorite Joel projects. Like, do a whole thing about skeletons. Do a whole thing about
Ghostbusters.
MIDI
He's done
Ghostbusters
fucking-
music.
He's done fucking 4 of them. But Skeleton Metal 3 is my favorite, although Skeleton Metal X pretty good. But you have a lot of really great songs, like a song about a necromancer who was kicked out of wizard school for reviving somebody's grandma. A song about a skull goblet that I think might be about a real story that Joel had on stream, where he got a wine glass and he was drinking Pepsi from it, but then it broke in the sink before he got to wash it.
Oh,
Oh geez, there's a song about a skeleton sneaking into your house to get a glass of milk. The
the bones.
He
calcium
needs
Yeah.
it for his bones, yeah.
the calcium
Bones.
cataclysm is just like about a skeleton apocalypse, essentially, where hey,
You know,
they're just partying and
skeletons
drinking.
as a concept, right? It's like if you think really hard about them, they're really fucking spooky and
Oh,
really
yeah.
kind of freaky. But then the more you say the word and the more you imagine them doing mundane things, the funnier they are.
oh yeah. Can you imagine
Yeah.
like a skeleton walking through a Walmart, just putting stuff in a grocery cart?
Oh, jeez.
That's funny. That's comedy.
Milk has gone up by $1. I
you
can't
imagine-
believe this.
A skeleton. No way! I can't believe it. Oh, sorry, it's you. You did the Eggman. The skeleton. Okay, Here's my concept. Skeleton becomes an angry Karen at a fast food restaurant.
Oh, the drive-through.
Yes,
bitch.
that- look
Only
what it is.
if
on the
Only-
advertisements.
only if the skeleton has a Karen wig. Only if.
Oh my
The
god.
full haircut.
So, like, no- no other
Giving
clothes.
you ideas for your next album. Fucking take them.
Exactly.
I said no pickles.
You definitely didn't.
I must have forgot. Can you make it again?
Like, can you buy it again?
But if I were to choose, it's kind of hard to choose just one track from this album because they're all bangers.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna split mine between two. There's Skeleton Killer, which is I'm not sure if it's about a killer who is a skeleton
Or a guy that
or
kills
someone who
skeletons.
kills skeletons. But I'm guessing it's the first one, given that this is skeleton metal.
It could be
But
both.
it's just such a good fucking song. And then Speed Metal Spooker, which it's a lot shorter, it's a lot faster, and a lot heavier. But it's about a skeleton running over grandma with a scooter.
That's pretty good.
And God, I love those songs. They're really fucking good.
I've liked all of the Joel metal that I've heard. He's actually really talented.
Yeah, he's got a really good ear for it, I think.
Yeah.
Because, like, I'm personally not a big fan of dirty vocals in metal. I like my power metal with fucking Dragon Force and shit, but
Yeah.
he really turned me on to dirty vocals. It's really
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, he's great, and you can hear what he's saying too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is an important thing.
Is this
But,
when we find out that this is the soundtrack to the Silent Hill 2 remake?
I wish.
I mean,
If only.
it would improve it in a lot of ways.
0 to 10, motherfuckers, get that shit in.
Yeah, hey, the PC modders, get on it.
We need the Medieval 2 remake that has this as the soundtrack.
Hell yeah.
I'd be down for that. New
Mary
medieval-
sent a letter to James because the skeletons kidnapped her.
Yes, I'm pretty sure. I think Kidnapped by Skeletons is in Skeleton Metal 2.
Yes.
But
Okay.
I mean, yeah, it's just a really funny album, a really funny thrash metal album about skeletons, and it's not all thrash metal because there's Save a Bone for Me, which starts as a ballad, but then it turns into thrash metal.
Yeah.
There's Funny Bones, which is a human bombing at a comedy club for skeletons. And it's just like, hey, you guys want to hear some jokes?
I love that your description of the album, it's not about the music, it's literally just the concepts of the songs, and it
ideas.
is
That's the thing.
actually selling me on the album. I have to
We're
listen to
just
the
giving us-
concepts.
of the songs.
Dude, you're just giving
Really
us album
funny.
notes.
Yeah. That's great.
The concept of the songs really funny. The music itself sells them.
Okay. Yeah. I mean,
It's really good.
I really
I
like
would
what I heard of
recommend-
Scythe Lord.
Man, I gotta stop myself from talking about Scythe Lord right now. Because there's new music coming out soon, and that's gonna be nice. Hopefully, I mean, it's probably gonna be good.
It's probably gonna be good.
Anyway, so yeah, Skeleton Metal 3. It's really good. I like it.
All right, Caddy, this is your go.
Shit, cool. Right, so next up in my favorites would be, and this was after so much deliberation, it almost became like not worth it, and it was almost like I need to pick either a basic bitch answer or a hipster answer or just give up, and I kind of gave up. But in the same token, the more I think about it, the more maybe it's right, because I'm trying to stick with one album per artist. Let Love In by Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds.
Okay.
Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds, probably my favorite band of all time, maybe top 3 at the very least. Nick Cave, one of the most, I don't know, versatile, I can't think of just very, very mystical, very spiritual, very dark, very brooding, very apocalyptic, and very elusive kinds of people. Very interesting in an interview. Very, very, very interesting is all I'll really say about it.
Yeah.
Already brought him up earlier because his technically second band, but first commercial band, The Birthday Party, which was just fucking noise rock, like
Nice.
mayhem, carnage. It was just, but yeah, Junkyard by The Birthday Party is just carnage for half an hour, which is great. And Bad Seeds is when it was like, okay, let's have some of the carnage, but let's also try and make it more goth melodic and
Emotion.
yeah, emotional, yes, but then also sometimes comically over the top, dark and abysmal and horrific and like apocalyptic. Like I said, every other track is just like about some sort of world-ending cataclysmic thing, or it's about a love that's died, or it's about a guy that's just there and just does things. It's like there's not really any kind of cohesion or anything like that, but it's all again, it's almost like Cardiagns. I can't describe the sound. I can't describe how do I describe it? It's like this album specifically is like it's like gospel music, but for people that really fucking hate church.
Nice.
Is the best way I can describe it.
You know, that sounds up my alley.
It's if any track from this album anybody would know, it would be Red Right Hand. It's probably the biggest song that Bad Seeds ever did. That's a very good indication of what this album's like. It is just very kind of expressive with it. Yeah, it's just very doomsday-ish. It's just very kind of skulking around in the shadows, almost comic book, olden-timey, like 1920s horror kind of sound. It goes all in with timpanis and church organs and shit, but then at the same time, in the same token, you'll get a track like Lover Man, which Metallica covered on Garage Inc., and that just goes to show the kind of versatility this album has. And Lover Man is dark as humanly possible.
I'm gonna have to check this out. Nick Cave has always been someone I've meant to like look more into. I've heard so much about him that's so interesting.
Absolutely fascinating character. Like he's one of those people, he just kind of exists everywhere and nowhere at the same time. I didn't realize until recently that like he's been doing a lot of movie work.
Oh yeah.
And
I was gonna bring that up actually.
Doing a lot of like movie scoring and stuff, and you just don't realize until like it's he did the music for the fucking Dharma movie. That's weird. Okay. And then it's like you're watching the new Joker and he does like a 1940s jazz swing song.
Wait, the new Joker?
Yes, he's the new Joker.
Oh,
the Joker.
Well,
and
the new Joker.
Yeah. So it's like, and I didn't even realize, because that is so unlike him to do that, and he was putting on a voice, and I just couldn't fucking figure it out. But like, again, the Bad Seeds, Nick Cave, the whole shebang, him as a person, everything he's touched is different. Every single album is different.
Sounds like he's a guy who just does what he wants.
Yeah.
Yes, there's no commercial thought behind any of it. Like all you got to do is look up the lyrics for Lover Man. I mean, again, like Metallica covered Lover Man. That just kind of goes. I don't
remember that one, but it
was on their cover album thing, the Garage Inc. thing.
I know the album. I'm a big fan of their Sabracadabra, but I don't know that one.
But yeah, so they did one of the tracks on there, but then you have like absolutely like haunting, beautiful things with like some of the lyric, the poetry and the lyrics. Like on the second track of the album, Nobody's Baby Now, is absolutely gorgeous. It's one of the only songs where when I was introducing Keris to him and the Bad Seeds, I played this album, and it starts off with just this. Like the end of the world with "Do you love me?" It's such a simple question, but he's gonna ask it over and over again, as broodingly and as miserably and as bellowingly as possible, like a fucking screeching in a bat cave about it. And then it just comes completely down in track 2, and then just turns into this almost like lullaby-ish kind of thing that then gets lifted by the church organs and everything. And it's about, as far as I'm aware, it's just about, he fell in love with someone and then they pass away or something. But some of the lyrics are just fucking heartbreaking. Like the way that that he describes it is just it's just crazy. There's so many good lines. I'm just trying to think of some now. Like I tried to lay her ghost down. No, that's the ending of it. That's the ending of it. Oh, what is it? It's something. But then he goes on and says, "I held her hand, but I don't hold it now." And it's like, oh, ouch. but it's done
It's
in
the
like not in
simplest things that are great poetry like that.
yeah, it's very
overwrought.
it's very earnest, very earnest. But then but then at the same time, then you have Jangling Jack, which is closer to Birthday Party, and then that just fucking fires off for 3 minutes and just makes noise, and then yeah, it's so many, and then it goes down into fucking Red Right Hand, which then got used in Scream, and then it got used in
Peaky Blinders.
Peaky Blinders. So there you go. It's this album is weird enough to a point where Metallica can cover it, and then Snoop Dogg can cover it. Like that's
hell yeah.
That sounds fucking dope.
Yeah, it's very weird. It's very weird, but that's why I think it's great. And this era of Nick Cave is probably him and his band at the peak. And then like it just gets more interesting as it goes on. And I don't remember how much I talked about it with Birthday Party, but then it gets to a point where the Bad Seeds kind of stop making music for a bit, and then they come back, and then with they come back with a new album, and then they're working on a new trilogy of albums, and then by the second album, 2 of his sons passed away during the making of that album. And then it was like, oh shit, what does Nick Cave of all people do when 2 of his kids fucking die?
I'd heard that he made some really powerful music about that, and then it was like horribly misused in the Justice League movie.
Oh no.
I think you mentioned it. It was Distant Sky from Skeleton Tree.
Yeah.
I think which doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah, but like, yeah, it's the kind of thing like Skeleton Tree, even as another example, as an album, it's like the music was done and most of it was finished, and then the lyrics were done, and then his sons passed away, and then he rewrote the lyrics to fit the songs. And it, yeah, there are songs where it's like, yeah, it's party time. Then there are songs where it's just spooky and fun and cool, like Red Right Hand. But then, yeah, like I was just saying, and then I got distracted. But when I was introducing Keris to him and everything, starts on the opening track, and then it goes into Nobody's Baby Now. That's the only time I've seen her just weep at a song, and it's just like, it's not even like musically the saddest sounding thing. It's all lyrically. It's just so heartbreaking. And then you can imagine the mess that it becomes when you get to like Ghost Teen, which is not the most recent one, because he just had an album come out with the Bad Seeds about 2, 3, 4 weeks ago. I can't remember how long ago it was, but the one before that, Ghost Teen, which is just like basically a 45-minute-ish long cry of grief and like, what the fuck did I do to deserve this? Why is this happening? And then just trying to look for answers, look for God, look for anything, and it's just powerful, very powerful shit. And then he did albums when he was a fucking heroin junkie with the Bad Seeds, and it's like now you get to hear what he's like when he's on heroin, and it's just very, very storied, very interesting, fascinating fucking person, very, very fascinating person. So
this is something also apparently he at one point was like tapped to write Gladiator 2 back in the day.
Yes, that is a weird story. He was like it was something to do with, I think, if I remember correctly, Ridley Scott, I think, reached out to him and told him the basic premise, which was they wanted to bring Maximus back. Yeah, because not in real life. Yeah, but it was like, maybe it was Russell Crowe because they both know each other or something. I can't remember if it was Ridley Scott or Russell Crowe.
I think it was Russell Crowe. Shout outs to the YouTuber Bolts and Blockbusters who did a video on it. That's the only reason I kind of know it, because I was like, oh, this sounds neat.
Yeah, no, I heard about it and I looked into it, and it was apparently something to do with like they wanted to when the original Gladiator 2 pitch was being made, it was more like, you know, ancient Romans were very, very into the whole afterlife thing. So they were trying to make a movie based on, well, what would happen after Gladiator 1 in an afterlife sense. And so Nick Cave gets presented with this idea, and he's like, so you want me to try and write a screenplay about a character that's already dead? And then they just told him, look, if anyone can do it, you can. Yeah. And apparently, obviously it never happened, but then he referenced it with his other band, Grinderman, which is another fucking amazing project. And that's just like, Grinderman is kind of going back to Birthday Party, but the point of Grinderman is that it's just him and 3 of his friends who are all 60 plus, and just fucking letting loose and not giving a shit, and just yelling songs about fucking and shit. And like, there's a song on the first Grinderman album called No Pussy Blues. It's fucking masterpiece.
That's great.
That's an incredible title.
I have a question. What year is this album?
94.
Okay.
Wow, this was
And,
like right before Scream came out too. Wow, they nailed that.
Mhm.
I was
Yeah.
just wondering because like a lot of bands, even from like just the '90s, but especially going back, like when did Nick Cave kind of hit the scene? Was this it, or would it? Have
Oh
been...
no, this is I'm looking now at Wiki. It's the 8th album. Like, dude has
Wow.
done so
Jesus.
much. Like, and this is the thing. Like, and then you go back to like fucking like some of the earlier albums. There's one of my favorites is the second album, The Firstborn is Dead, is the name of the album. Fucking
Right.
amazing title for an album.
Jeez.
So
And-
he's been going since like what, the early '80s?
Technically, the late 70s. Technically,
It's fascinating to hear that he's still killing it now.
yeah.
when
yeah, dude,
so many
pushing
bands,
70, yeah.
like even like Deep Purple, you mentioned before, like a new Deep Purple album is not that interesting. Like even a band from the '90s or whatever struggles to kind of still be interesting this far into their career. But
I
like
mean, there are people
it's
that
really interesting to hear that this is like he's still got bangers like just released
yeah,
like a
shit.
few weeks ago or whatever.
I mean,
Absolutely.
there are people that are like, I mean, the concept of a one-hit wonder, and this man has like, outdone that a million fucking times.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm gonna have to check them out. Yeah, this sounds
But
great.
like I think the first album was '84, and
Okay.
then and then Wild God, their most recent album, was 2024. So yeah, you're talking 40 odd fucking years of just Bad
Yeah.
Seeds. That's not including all the EPs
Solo
and the 2
stuff
studio
and-
albums of The Birthday Party. That's not including their first band, The Boys Next Door, which they only did one album, and that was 1979. But like, just such a rich tapestry to go through.
That's great.
But yeah, I was just before I move on to the next one, that like, just to give you an idea, The Firstborn is Dead, the second album, it's got one of my favorite Bad Seeds tracks. It's called Tupelo, and it is 7 minutes long, and it's about the little town in Mississippi. And if I'm right in thinking, I think it's got something to do with like the birth of Elvis, but apparently that like Elvis had like a stillborn twin or something.
Yeah. He
I think it's something along those lines. I could be completely
it was
wrong.
supposed
Don't
to be a
quote me,
twin, but I think like the other one was kind of like almost dead, like as he was coming out. I think.
yeah.
Yeah.
So the opening track of the second Bad Seeds album is a 7-minute epic about the stillborn twin of Elvis that was born and died when a giant flood and rain and thunderstorm hits Tupelo. That's what the song's about. And it's just basically this driving, angry, growling. It's mostly just a tom line just going, and it's just so fucking good. It's so minimalist. But then the more recent stuff is very rich and very layered. So there's something for everyone with him, I think. But yeah, I could go on all night, and I've already gone on long enough with Nick Cave. He's a fucking ledge. Love him.
Yeah, that
Love
sounds
him.
great. Yeah.
Very good. So.
Yeah, so that would be that one. When it comes to runner-ups, copy image and then paste. Maybe a bit of an easy one for a lot of people, but it's true. Goodbye Yellow Brick Road's fucking great.
Oh hell yeah!
It's so good. It's so
I haven't
good.
listened to much Elton John, but I've always been another one I've meant to listen to.
I would
It's
say
gonna be a whole fucking
personally-
project for me after this podcast.
Yeah. Oh, I like all the things you guys are saying. I've been adding to my backlog on Apple Music, so yeah, like, I'm on it.
Hell yeah.
as well, yeah.
I also at one point I wanted to add Honky Chateau onto this.
Honky Chateau.
Yes.
Get back, Honky Cat. Fucking tune. Yes.
Such
yes.
a good album too. But yes, this is an amazing album. Video.
Well, yeah, and also Don't Shoot Me, I'm the Piano Player is a great album too.
Yes.
Yeah, so runner up on that because like I think what sold it with me, like I mean, Candle in the Wind's classic, not my favorite track on the album though. And Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, classic, not my favorite track on the album. The opening track, Funeral for a Friend, going into Love Lies Bleeding, 12 minutes of like I didn't know Elton John could sound like this. It's like it's so fucking good. It's so good. It's yeah, it's like it's probably him at his peak in the like the kind of mid to late 70s is his peak, and it's like when people could still like look at him comfortably and go rock star, I guess, because it's very theatrical and it's very campy, but it's also very very hard hitting. It's very, very hard hitting. And loads of it touches on loads of interesting themes. There's so many memorable songs. Benny and the Jets is on this one as well. So many great tracks. I think with Elton John as a whole, though, I would say it's one of those things where like the dude has done so much music where it's like there is so much that you can ignore, but then the stuff that is really good is really fucking good. And yeah, this is one of those examples. So yeah, not much can be said about Yellow Brick that hasn't already been said. It's great if you're going to listen to any track from it. Then yeah, the opening track. It's 12 minutes, but I promise you, it's worth it. It's like it's
selling
almost
me
like,
on it.
yeah. Oh no, it's like imagine like I say this with all love and respect. I promise. It's like if Bat Out of Hell was played better. Because Bat Out of Hell is a classic.
I get it.
It's very sloppy. It's very sloppily put together. But then Love Lies Bleeding is. It's like it's not quite as long, but it's like it's just so tight. It's so fake. It's like it's just him piano yelling into a mic. Entire fucking band. Great riff. Great intro. Great energy. It's great shit. So yeah, that's the one I would recommend. Then when it comes to new discovery, blah 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 blah, version 2.0 by Garbage, which is a fucking great album. It took me ages to realize not realize, but I didn't know what the album cover was. I tried. I thought it was like Ice Cube bags, and then I got the vinyl, and it's actually Shirley Manson's coat, the lead singer. That's just her coat.
All right.
Zoomed in picture. Oh, it's very odd. But yeah, like
slick coat though.
Oh yeah, it's cool. But yeah, like it is just. I mean, it's 90s grungy shit. It's I would say if you've got Nirvana grunge and then Cardiagns grunge, this is right in the middle. So it's like it's not as abrasive and as raw as Nirvana is, but then it has a little bit more melody and a little bit more structure and a bit more instrumentation. A little bit more alt rock, I suppose, but yeah, very fucking moody. It's weird because like the name of the band kind of sums it up. It just sounds like garbage, like in a good way. It just sounds very rough and very moody and just very like, you can't tell me what to do, mum. It's very just kind of it's a very
sometimes you need that mood.
Yeah, it's very much like that. But it's a great album. I've gone back through some of the other stuff. Their first album, very ahead of its time as well. There's a song on the first album called Queer, which is like very ahead of its time. Not many people tackling subjects like that in that kind of music, in that kind of genre at that time. Very cool shit. Version 2.0 on its own, I would say, was worth it for I Think I'm Paranoid, which again I think might have been on a rock band or something.
It was.
Yeah, shout outs to Shirley Manson being like a playable NPC or whatever in Guitar Hero 5, alongside Kurt Cobain, which was muchly controversial. Bigly.
Little weird.
A little.
Oh my god. But yeah, so yeah, it's good. It's good. It's really good shit. Every track is more or less a no skip. Every track's it's either a banger or it's reflective or it's it's something you got to be in the mood for. But even when you're not feeling moody, it's just cool. It just sounds fucking cool. It's very 90s. Because I think you need to be in the mood to listen to something like Nirvana, or if you're listening to Nirvana, you're made to feel a certain way, like angry or something. But then you listen to Garbage, and even if you're not in the mood for it, you're like, yeah, man, you like getting a cigarette, and some sunglasses, and just fucking zoning out, and then just being, just fuck the world, man. There's a very cool like vibe to it. Yeah, it's good shit. It's good shit.
That's another one of those bands. Everything I've heard from it, I really like. I enjoyed playing. What is the song? I'm Only Happy When It Rains. Is that from this album?
That's the first album. But that's the kind of thing.
Okay.
So the first album is a lot lighter. It's a little bit more. I wouldn't say accessible. It's not quite as for lack of a better term, abrasive as this one. Because this one isn't abrasive. It's not Nirvana, but it's not fluffy either. It's right in the middle. It gets the balance pretty damn well. And yeah, it's very, very 90s. It's very like you can totally imagine just
Playing
You know,
that
it's like-
alongside the Gran Turismo album is probably a
Yeah,
real
yeah,
experience.
exactly. It's very kind of college dorm room kind of sound.
Yeah.
It's
Oh, yeah.
Hell
it's
yeah.
Playing out of like
yeah.
a shitty stereo. It's got like a CD player with skips if you bump into it.
absolutely, which would be a crime because some of the
Yeah.
the richness of the guitars on this and everything. Like, I mean, you guys know I think I'm paranoid, but the way the chorus just fucking crunches in is so good. And this is basically a whole album of that kind of sound. Whereas the first album is a little bit more kind of up in the air and loopy, I suppose. It's still good shit, but it's nowhere near as kind of crunchy and down to the point and just like, yeah, we're fucking garbage, fuck you. It's cool shit. It's good stuff. But yeah, that'll be my 3 lists sorted for that one.
All right.
Hell yeah.
All right, Claw, it is your go.
Yosh! Well, I deliberated over this one a lot. I didn't want to pick too much of the same genre. So, I went with I did a prog album already with Fear of a Blank Planet. And, I did a hip-hop album. I did a sort of weird esoteric thing. I got to go with a metal pick this time.
All right.
And I was split between two bands I've seen in concert. And to be honest, the band I didn't pick today had the better concert because they had some fabulous drinks, but that's neither here nor there. Shoutouts to the liquor god Bacchus.
Hell yeah.
Big ups.
Yeah, big ups, Liquid Richard. So I had to go with At the Edge of Time by Blind Guardian. Blind Guardian is a band, power metal sort of band, and I got into them with Nightfall and Middle Earth, an album which is kind of their biggest album, and I really like it a lot. But it has a lot of skips, and it has a lot of just songs that are like 50-second long skits or whatever. And they're like story stuff, it's like a whole concept album. It's based on the Silmarillion. But some of the songs just don't hit as hard. At the Edge of Time from 2010 is a fucking amazing album. I'm going to bring up the Wikipedia actually.
If you get the art too.
Oh, right.
I'm taking care of it.
Okay, I was
sorry
saying,
about
I wasn't
that.
in chat. I didn't
think the one beer would get me so fucked up, but maybe it's my array of different fucking vaporizer devices.
You've been hitting 17 vapes this entire episode. I don't know if anyone noticed it. I was
Are you sure? Are you sure you're not sponsored? Are you sure you're not sponsored?
No, none of them are
I wish
sponsored.
we were.
Yeah.
This one
I wish we were.
sucks
I wouldn't be filling this thing with fucking flowers and shit. You kidding?
Speaking of, host at loudequalsfunny.com. Send us an email. We'll sponsor anything.
So we got an album that's, as Blind Guardian bases most of their music on fantasy stories and what's up?
He got a
Yeah. It said it was 1,000 by 1,000. This is bullshit.
Oh man, you know what? It's fine.
1,000 inches by. Yeah.
So Blind Guardian bases most of their shit on music, or on fantasy stories and science fiction stuff, and so a lot of books and things like that. I got into the Wheel of Time series because of the song Wheel of Time and Ride Into Obsession on this album. They're both about Wheel of Time, and they're fucking masterpieces. I'm listening to Wheel of Time right now. It's a fucking amazing. Listen to this album and read an entire fucking book. That's what you need to do. Listen to this album and then read an entire 14-book series. That's what you fucking do. The album has Sacred Worlds, which is a song for the game Sacred 2 Fallen Angel, which to my knowledge, is that one good?
I don't even remember. I know Sacred 3 sucks ass.
Sacred 3 is bad. I'm not sure about the first two.
I think Sacred 2 might have been good, but the song is so fucking hard. It's great. I think they closed with that at the concert, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Tanalorn Into the Void, based on Michael Moorcock's The Eternal Champion series. Another banger. I've tried to fucking find the books in that series, but they're weirdly elusive. Road of No Release, based on Peter S. Beagle's The Innkeeper's song. This is not a skip for me, but it's not one of the ones I have liked on Spotify. It's fine. I wouldn't skip it, but it's just fine. Ride Into Obsession, though. Such a fucking driving song. Such a fucking banging fucking song. That song is fucking hard as shit, and it's about an introduction to the main characters, the Dragon Reborn and the Dark Lord Balsamon. Hell yeah, dude. Read Eye of the World. It's amazing. Curse My Name, based on the tenure of kings and magistrates. This is a fucking amazing song. It's like a pirate metal song almost, but it's not. I guess pirates. I don't know. It's just, it's very like medieval sounding and like, you know, classical. And it's a political, it's kind of folky. A political writing by John Milton where he legitimizes the killing of a king who didn't carry out his duties. We got Valkyries. Oh, shit, indeed. Yeah. Valkyries, inspired by Norse mythology, especially Valkyries, you know, as well as the perception of time. It's a pretty cool song. It's not a skip, but, you know, it's another okay one. But then Control the Divine. It's so fucking fun to play this one on guitar, based on Paradise Lost. Then War of the Thrones, you got this like ballad. It's about I think it's about Bran Stark from A Song of Ice and Fire. Oh shit, indeed. A Voice in the Dark, another A Song of Ice and Fire song. It tells. Oh no, this is the one about Bran Stark, a key character in the series. This was like this is like a speed metal one. This is more like high energy. The last one was like the ballad. That one and Curse My Name are kind of like the ballads for the album, but A Voice in the Dark is like one of the faster ones. And then fucking Wheel of Time, the like 8 or 9 minute closer.
Yeah.
It's so good. It's so exotic, which fits. It's got like these exotic kind of Middle Eastern influences and like Asian inspired instruments and stuff. And I don't know if it's just like synths or if it just sort of, you know, if it's like a actual band, but it fits the Wheel of Time series perfectly. It's telling this whole grand story in fucking peaks and valleys with like slow parts, and it's the fucking pinnacle of Blind Guardian. And it got me to read a 14-book series, which I still need to read the prequel for. Don't watch the Amazon show.
I like
the
first little bit.
No, it ruins everything about it. I liked it too. I was stupid. It ruins everything about it. Don't watch it.
The one that ruins everything about it is that one that aired on FX at like, 4 a.m.
Okay, but that was funny at least. Anyways.
That is funny.
Anyway,
by the way, I have to ask, do you think that in their latest album, will they have a song based on Concord? Seeing as how they had one based on Sacred too? I'm sorry. I had to make a joke.
I don't believe so. I think they had one based on The Witcher, though, in their last album.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah. This is my it's like my favorite Blind Guardian song. This or Ride into Obsession. It's just immaculate. You listen to this music, and they've got other great stuff too. I mean, I think it's their 2002 album. It's like not my favorite, but it's got oh god, what the fuck is it called? Jesus Christ, what's the album? It's that's A Night at the Opera, not the Queen album. Tristan, get the record. It's the 14-minute song, and then there was silence, which is another.
Hey,
there you go. And then there was silence. Is about Cassandra's visions of the coming Trojan War. So it's like, it's just they've got stuff that makes you like, this is interesting. I want to go check this out. It's like music that makes you want to read books. It's such fucking nerdy shit, and I just love it so much. So go listen to some dragon music today, ladies and gentlemen. That's my directive to you. That's my pick.
Yes. All right.
Sorry, I'm so drunk.
You're fine, man.
Understandable. You should have seen me last night. I was on something.
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah, you were at like a reunion or something. You were.
Yeah.
What was the quote? You were a pretty fly white guy or something.
I was told that I have the white boy swag.
There you go.
Yes. There you go. That's all you can hope for.
I can confirm.
Yeah.
I've met a black person, so I can confirm.
Okay.
So
it's my go next. I'm gonna do a Supertramp one, the new Supertramp one.
All right, I gotcha.
I was tossing and turning between
you
two
changed up
albums.
the Supertramp.
I did. So I.
By the way, I'm not allowed to listen to Spotify while I fucking do this. This is AIDS.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, fuck that shit.
Well, we'll get this. We'll get this done.
You don't apologize for Spotify being draconian. Eat shit.
That too. Spotify.
You know what they do if you don't have premium? They like don't let you fucking like even listen to an album.
Yeah, you have to have a radio.
Listen. It's so gay. What the fuck?
The worst
Dude,
thing.
even well, I mean, to be fair, I have a funny version of Spotify where I don't have to pay for premium. So I'm not sure if this is like a poor people only feature, but they shuffle albums now by default.
Yeah.
Yes.
I fucking
and they like
despise
shuffle
it.
in random other songs. Apparently, you'll be listening to like a jazz album, and they'll play Drake.
Yeah. So you really do have to go into like I think no, it's not content preferences.
Gross.
I think it's playback and set it to. It's in one of these settings to like turn off like autoplay similar content. That's one of them. But you really have to go in there and like fucking sort that shit out in Spotify settings.
Vibe killer.
Why don't we just use cassettes?
Honestly,
For real?
I'm willing to go back to CDs.
That would be so great, dude. I gotta get a radio in here, like an old stereo with the speakers.
Oh, dude, I
have one, but I don't have enough room in my abode for it.
I used to have one, but it stopped working.
In the personal room.
Damn.
Yep. But
It
yeah,
would fit right here if I didn't have like all of this other stuff.
I mean, hey. But yeah, no. Even if the Quietest Moments by Supertramp has probably, like, again, I'd say also no skips. It starts off with Give a Little Bit. There's Loverboy, even if the Quietest Moments, the title track, which is amazing. Downstream, Babaji. I'm always bad with names. I am bad with names, but that one after Downstream's kind of, but I wouldn't say skip it. From Now On, and then Fool's Overture. Again, a whole damn good album.
Fool's Overture is like a big, long, extended song about like fucking mankind.
Yeah, I think
It's fucking great.
Let me see how long it is.
This is another album where it's like same
It's
with like
10 minutes.
Love.
Yeah.
Same with Love This Giant from before. It's like I like progressive rock, quote unquote, but this album, it's kind of they are sort of a prog band, a little bit.
They're very
They're
much
like
a
pop
crossover.
prog.
They're a crossover.
Yeah. And but like that's what I'm looking for. Is just it doesn't need to be fucking wacky synths and flutes and shit. Just
They're most
do a little piano 10-minute song that has like weird themes about like World War II or whatever. I don't know.
I would say their most prog album is maybe Crime of the Century.
I love that album.
That's a
that
great
was
album.
my favorite one. Yeah.
That was one I thought about picking too, but I was like,
That's
it's a good
such
album.
a banger. I gotta tell you, Bloody Well Right is a fun fucking song to play. I think that's from that album, right?
I think it is.
I think it is. Yeah.
I'd have to look, but I would say it is.
Yeah.
But this one and Breakfast in America, which was my original pick, both just kind of like it had crossover success. Like it has those prog sensibilities, but it took off in the mainstream.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Supertramp is a great band, man.
Yes.
I love the dynamic between the two singers.
They really they had incredible success.
Yeah.
And
I wish I had the chance to see them live. They were like touring when I was a kid, and we almost saw them, but
man,
no dice.
I feel that. All right, Tristan.
Imagine a land of love, where people have time to care, where everybody's equal, and we all tell the truth. If you're wondering where this magical place is, you don't have to look too far. You'll find it between your deepest dreams and warmest wishes. Sting da dong da ding da ding da ding da ding da ding da dong da dong da dong, Scatman's world. Listen, as much of
Is
a
this the
fucking
real
meme.
thing, Tristan?
You should read audiobooks, man.
Yes.
Also, yes, you
Oh,
should
shit.
get into like voice acting and shit.
I don't have enough control over my voice, sadly, to do that.
You did good.
Yo, develop a
Um,
Scatman tick, and then all the books will be ruined.
Take a pause for Tristan.
So,
So what is this album?
all right. So Scatman's music has been kind of a meme for a while, like
Yeah.
even back in like the early
Back in the
2000s.
day, that's basically what it was.
He was an
yeah.
early meme, yeah.
But man, I just like his music. I don't fucking
I get that.
don't make me explain shit because
Oh, yeah.
shut up. But it's just a really really good album. It's it's kind of sappy, cheesy shit like oh love yourself, oh we gotta all be kind to each other. But it's this really cool fusion of like scat jazz and like Euro pop, and it just fucks hard. Like
I've heard that
there's-
the story about him is actually quite like wholesome and just fascinating as well.
Scatman John is genuinely an inspiration.
Yeah, like just like his approach to making music, his approach to like it's one of those things where like you listen to like some of you listen to it as a meme and then you actually dig in and it's like oh wait, so this is a sincere meme lord, like that doesn't that doesn't really happen that often,
like it's a meme but with love.
Yeah.
It's almost like Tay Zonday. It's like chocolate rain, sincere meme lord.
Yeah.
But then
Like-
Tay Zonday would often take advantage of the fact he's got a ridiculous voice and then kind of milk it a bit. But then
He
Scatman was just like Scatman just kind of was like, yeah, you know what? I like what I'm doing. I'm doing what I think is right, and I like this, and I'm old, and I'm just gonna do it until I die. And then that's what he did.
He
And
did.
It's, just-
Yeah.
it's so
Sadly.
sweet.
But there's so many good songs. I mean, everyone knows fucking skip it up.
He's the
Skip it up. I'm a scat man. I mean that bangs unironically,
It
but
do-
like
it does.
even then,
There's no denying it.
I prefer the title track Scatman's World, where it's just like, hey, come on and think like me, be kind, be be loving to each other, and it's all gonna be all right. Time bangs. Pop Star is kind of funny actually. I kind of like it. Everything Changes. Bang. Like I'm not big on
the sound of an older guy just coming to terms with things and just being like, it's okay, fucking roll with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently as well, I heard that like the reason that he is the Scatman is because he actually does have a stammer. Like I thought, is that true or not? And like that was how he wanted to do music, but he couldn't because like,
Everybody's saying that the Scatman stutters, but doesn't ever stutter when he sings. But what you don't know, I'm going to tell you right now, is the stutter and the scat is the same thing. Yo, I'm a Scatman.
Mm.
Where's the Scatman? I'm the Scatman. I just love.
It is.
Scat's
like,
another word for
Sounds
poo.
very fun.
That
Like,
is-
that
It
does-
is.
just
It
sounds
is
like
sadly
fun.
another word for poo.
It
It is
is
a very
another
fun
word for poo.
album.
Yeah.
Imagine-
Also,
like
I'm
fun,
glad that I'm
pure
finally
energy.
I'm glad that I'm finally getting out of like the huge rock chunk at the very beginning.
oh yeah.
There's a little bit left, but like next episode we're gonna start getting into some fucking yoinky splunky shit. It's gonna be great.
You
I
ever-
love
Yeah,
how
it-
we're gonna have to like eventually add more to our lists and make them bigger
You have to
to
do a-
keep up with Caddy and how much music he likes.
Eventually,
Yeah,
this-
probably.
Eventually, we might even have like another guest on just to like include more music because
We gotta bring Black Brains in because he's the
Black
music
Brains
guy.
would be pretty
Yeah,
good to have on
yeah.
for it.
Look, I'm just very, very, very lucky that Wild God, the newest Bad Seeds album, wasn't like it was great, but it wasn't one of my favorites. So like that could have easily fucked my list up. So I'm just thankful.
Could have like shot up the list. You're like, oh no, fuck.
Yeah, I was gonna say like by the time we get this done, there'll be like 3 new albums that are like masterpieces.
Oh yeah, I'm also thinking of a like movie soundtrack episode down the road. So there's some
Not a bad idea.
amazing
Yeah.
movie soundtracks.
I could sit out of that one.
Okay,
Yeah, I think I could as well.
I'd be down.
I know
to
a couple
bring
good ones.
Like we could do Caddy, Gabe, and probably Tyler for that actually, and me. Kind of
That'd be a hell of an episode.
be down for that. I'd be down.
I don't know enough movie
workshop.
soundtracks.
There's a few I know, but like I could just pull off from right over here and just be like, hey.
Oh, that's part of a picture. Okay.
But yeah,
Yeah, I don't really have much else to say
Scatman.
other about Scatman's World other than it's a really cool fusion, and it's just a really fun album in general. I really enjoy it. And Scatman
You know
John's
the effect that Scatman has on me personally. I think it speaks to probably a vast majority of internet users. If you're ever like feeling a bit nostalgic and you're going back through the annals of history and you're looking for uploaded 14 years ago videos, and you get to something that you used to find hilarious back in the day, and you find some classic YouTube poops from like 2009, and they're unbearable to watch, and there's so much distortion, and then in between every dated "I'm a firing my laser" and between every tired dinner, every time Scatman pops up, I smile, and that's the effect he keeps old YouTube poops worth preserving. Everything else can burn, but if he's in a YouTube poop, then that's fine. Yeah. Godspeed.
Enough. My ship sails in the morning. I wonder what's for dinner. All right, that's all I gotta say. Go on, Caddy.
Ooh. Okay. This is. I know I might say this maybe more than once going forward. I think I might have already said it once, but this is maybe another one of those kinds of duh. One of my faves. It's London Calling. I couldn't not.
Yeah,
I couldn't not. It's not even just because it's London Calling. It's because it's just, as far as the Clash go, as like a legend, as a story, as a myth. It's like. It's just their most complete, their most compact, their most tight, their most boppinest, catchiest. Yeah, it's a fucking double album, and people forget that. It's 19 tracks. It's like over an hour long, and not one song is throwaway, which is a miracle. And it's 1979. It's like, what the fucking hell? How did they do this? It's like, you listen to London Calling even now, it's still being used whenever someone in a Hollywood movie goes to London, even though it's about the end of the world. It's not about London, it's about the end of the world, but sure, whatever. They say London in it.
What's the difference?
Yeah, go to London, it is like the world has ended. Yeah, you're right. But, yeah, it's just, it's not even like, because people can call it a punk. I don't even think it's a punk album necessarily. It's just, it's a punk band that are just expanding their horizons and basically nailing everything they try to incorporate. They incorporate political messaging. They incorporate reggae. They incorporate jazz. They incorporate like they basically just swing at everything and somehow manage to fucking nail all of it, while at the same time copying Elvis's debut album cover font shit.
Yeah.
So it's like it's got rock and roll in it. It's got like a punk energy and a punk emotion to it, but it's not straightforward just, 4 members of a band thrashing for an hour and a bit. It's very, very deliberately constructed, and it just, again, it's one of those things I don't know how many more things people could say about it. I don't know one track. I mean, if you like London Calling, which is, probably as sad as it might seem, it is probably the best track, but then there's so many fucking good tracks. Jimmy Jazz is a great one. Brand New Cadillac is a great one. Guns of Brixton, fucking the darkest song the Clash ever made. It's like, oh, you think that British people are all top hats and bad teeth? Oh, Guns of Brixton, man, no fucking way. No. So it's very, it just feels very of its time. It feels like a cry for help. It's very, again, anti-establishment, but not too like vulgar about it. It's very subtle and clever. It's definitely stood the test of time. It's a classic. But then the Clash have done like nearly, apart from their final album, which if you are into music at all, I highly recommend. Has anyone listened to the Clash's final album? Any of you guys?
I have not.
No.
Fucking hell. Okay.
This is our blind spot.
Yeah, not much punk for me. Although this is one of the bands I would listen to if I did listen to punk.
So the final Clash album is called Cut the Crap,
and Cut the Crap happened when every member of the band left except for Joe Strummer, the lead singer-songwriter.
Oh no.
And there is a reason that no one talks about it. There is a reason why every documentary stops at Combat Rock, which is where Should I Stay or Should I Go came from, and all of that, the mainstream shit.
Yeah.
So everybody stops there because it ends up turning into like, how do I describe? It's almost like Culture Club, but everybody's sitting on the keyboards. Which
Now
I
I'm
know
not
sounds
serious.
like I'm joking, but I'm not kidding. Listen to I think it's the opening track. The album's called Cut the Crap, and it's 5 of them instead of 4, and 4 of them aren't the original members. And the first track, Dictator, it sounds like a shitpost. It sounds like a mid-80s shitpost. It is the worst final album by any, maybe next to if anyone's ever heard Summer in Paradise, the final, it used to be the final Beach Boys album.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
Similar
yeah.
vibes. Similar vibes, like desperate to keep on top of everything and just falling apart. But either way, that's another thing for another time. But yeah, Topper Headon, the drummer of the Clash, one of my, again, another extremely underrated, incredible drummer, knows his job, does what he needs to do. Not a single missed beat. And the Clash's discography as a whole, like, I'm not even massive on the first album, but the second album onwards is just classic shit. And then you get into Sandinista, which is the one between London Calling and Combat Rock, which was, at the time, it was a bomb. And you think, oh shit, it's going to be terrible. It's not. It's a triple album. It's 33 tracks. And they do fucking... They do, like, yeah, they jump into gospel in some areas, but they make it about organized religion and comparing it as a drug addiction and stuff, but they do it as a gospel song, and they have a gospel choir and shit. So incredibly interesting band, very talented songwriters, and it's a shame that they're just kind of diminished, but like, because I love punk, but it's like they aren't just a punk band. They're a statement. They're a project, more or less. But yeah, London Calling is probably just the tightest, most tightly compacted. The making of the album's also fascinating. There was a documentary made about it, where they were filming the making of it, and the guy that produced the album, can't remember the name of him, but in order to get like the best, angriest performances from Joe Strummer, the lead singer, he would like run around the studio and like throw chairs at him, and they would just barely miss his head. It was like he would like jump on the grand piano and then just start fucking screaming at everybody with a megaphone, and like just they would repeat the same shit over and over and over again. And even to little things that people don't even like, they take for granted, I suppose. Even with London Calling, which is a song that everybody knows and has heard a million times, the drum pattern for that, not the hardest thing in the world, but lots of people think it's in 16th notes. So people think that it's kind of, I don't even know if you can hear me tapping, but people think that the hi-hat rhythm, when it gets in through to the verses and the chorus, is... Can you hear that? Can you hear that?
Yeah, kind of hear that.
Okay, so yeah, it's like so it's like that's the rhythm. And when lots of cover bands, and even when Joe Strummer went solo and got like backing bands to do London Calling in the 2000s, everybody that played it used to do it with 2 hands, because it sounds like you would need like you'd need to do that with your hands to get to the snare and the hi-hat. No, Topper Headon does it with 1 fucking hand, and I can't describe not how difficult it is to do, but how difficult it is to keep up those triplets on 1 hand on the hi-hat while keeping a groove and not losing your wrist. Sorry, Deadwing, without
Yeah.
But it's like when I can just about get through it, but like my everything in my right forearm just feels like it's falling off, and he can just do it flawlessly. It's like, so yeah, imagine, so basically just have the rhythm, do that with 1 hand, so you can just tap on your table, just like, it's doable.
I lose it near the end. Yeah,
but that's the thing. But you've got
consistent.
Yeah, it's very difficult to be consistent, and you got to have the accents, you got to have the groove, you got to hit the kick and the snare. It's
Gotta be in lock with
incredible
the
shit.
beats and everything too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's incredible shit. So yeah, that's probably something that not many people would mention when they talk about how great of an album this is. But yeah, there you go. That's a definite keeper for me on that one. Runner up. Not sure if this is controversial or not.
All right.
Tusk, Fleetwood Mac.
Ooh,
Hell yeah, brother.
Title track.
Yeah, the title track is a banger.
Fuck's hardcore.
Yeah, and fun fact, Tusk is a reference to Mick Fleetwood's dick.
And
All right.
And it's
So the song Tusk
Thanks.
is about his dick.
Yes.
And that's
Johnny
not
Joe
a joke.
Star's fucking stand in
Dude.
Steel
Alright,
Ball
man.
is named
dude,
after a dick.
Yeah, Tusk
great.
is played almost like the title track is played almost all the time you go to like an American football game. I swear to God.
Really?
It
Yes.
has that vibe.
I've literally
It's
seen
got a
it.
good. It's got a really good beat to it, I guess. But it's
So
like,
dicks and football, huh?
I mean, hey, that's, that's
interesting.
literally two American pastimes right there. Talking
I
about
mean,
there
dicks
you
and
go.
football.
now, I think with me and this album, I'm not like a massive Fleetwood Mac guy, honestly. I've only really listened to 3 albums. This one, Rumors, because everybody has, and Tango in the Night, which is actually a really fucking solid album. But at the same time, like I'm aware of the history, and I find the story of the band itself interesting enough on its own in a Motley Crue sense.
Yeah.
And you know,
That one
Rumors.
performance where the two are like staring at each other. You know, I forget their names, but Stevie Nicks and the other fellow.
Mick Fleetwood.
Yeah.
Mick Fleet. Well, it depends if he was on the drums or at front of the stage. But
I think maybe for-
yeah, like it's just like Rumors should not have happened, and somehow it happened and then became a masterpiece, which is already a miracle. This is then almost a middle finger after. It's immediately after Rumors. There are amazing songs on this album. I don't think every single one is great. I think Rumors is a better album, but to hear a band fall apart, that is what this album is.
Yeah.
And in that sense, it's just it's essential listening. And then when you just got to go on like at Wikipedia or something just to get a brief background idea of like what was going on and how bad shit was. Like most of the songs on Rumors are about all of them cheating on each other.
Yeah.
That's what most of Rumors is about. That's what I'm pretty sure that's why it's called Rumors, because everybody was just fucking each other and no one knew who was doing what with who. And so
Yeah,
and then
all
you
over
get
the place.
and I think at this point, I think that was meant to be their closing statement, and then the record companies were like, "Hey, but you know, you're going platinum with this," and then they were like, "All right, then
Yeah, it's
we
like-
call Mick Fleetwood's dick a Tusk. Let's name the next album after his dick," and just fucking fall apart in real time on it, and somehow still sound pretty good.
Yeah.
And based on that, yeah, I think it's worth a listen, even if you're not a massive Fleetwood Mac guy. But yeah, Tusk is a fucking tune. And then, but it's weird because you get like darker, kind of heavier things like that, and then you get, Over and Over, the opening track, which is really beautiful, and then there's oh god, there's another one. I can't think of the name. I can't think of the name of it. It's kind of halfway through the first half, but Sarah, I think it's called. I can't think, but like.
I think it might be.
Yeah, there's so many good tracks. And then you'll have like The Ledge on the first half of the album, which is a good song and everything, but it almost sounds like what's it doing on this album? It just sounds like they don't give a fuck, but at the same time they're doing it really well. And it's like, oh, it's actually got a groove, and it shouldn't have a groove, and it shouldn't sound all right, but somehow they make it sound all right. If any other band did it, it would sound like someone like, I don't know. It would sound like someone waddling. It sounds like waddling music, and somehow Fleetwood Mac managed to just make it sound pretty good. And it's called The Ledge for some fucking reason, no idea. But yeah, that's a runner-up. And then Newer Discovery. Here we go. Here.
All right.
So, Payback, James Brown.
Ooh,
Apparently his 37th album. I guess you got to start somewhere.
Yeah, James Brown, I think, made like
Wow.
60
He's a
albums.
very prolific guy.
Oh yeah,
Holy shit.
there's a lot. There's a lot. But this was the one
And
where
now
it was like,
number 37 had some interesting stuff. That's amazing.
yeah, yeah. This is one of
like the funkiest fucking albums I've ever heard. It's so dripping in funk. Title track, The Payback. If you haven't heard it, it's 6 minutes of fucking bliss. It is. I don't know. It's almost like diarrhea smooth. It's so fucking. I can't think of a way to describe
All
it.
right, then.
This go round had
I would have said
the second
water
half of
smooth,
this
but-
round of.
But I'm just
selections.
thinking like something that is purely zen, like relaxing. You know when I'm talking because I've recently just been through it, but it's the tail end of food poisoning and the vomiting has stopped. But then when you do vomit again, you feel so much better immediately afterwards.
I know what you mean.
That's what this album sounds like. It's
the last vomit.
Yeah. It's post vomit clarity is this album. That's how it sounds. And when I say diarrhea, I mean it in the same way.
I've ever heard. That's amazing.
It should be on the back of a box.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean when I say diarrhea, though. It's like you've gone to the toilet, your stomach is kicking you, and then you just let everything out, and you're already sat down, you're relaxed, you're hunched over, and then it's out, and then you're like, fucking hell, I feel better. And that is like, it's so fucking smooth, this album. So funky, so accentuated, so characterful, so fucking good. And while I'm just on James Brown for a second, I say this is a new discovery because James Brown has made so many fucking songs. It's like you have to start with best ofs, otherwise you just have nowhere to start.
Yeah,
and
I have a couple of best ofs in my in the future list, and that's partially because finding albums for like artists in the 30s a bit hard.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
also,
especially like Elvis and shit like that. Like you have to start somewhere, right? Because a lot of it is quite throwaway, and just done to sell more singles. But yeah, with him specifically, there is one thing I will say. There is another great album of his called Sex Machine Today, and that's where, if anyone has heard Get On Up, that's where that song is from.
Okay.
Get On Up, brackets like a sex machine, a fucking classic. But there's another track on there called I Feel Good, right?
Yep.
And it's not the one that everyone fucking knows.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's not the one everyone plays. It's not the one that's always in fucking Garfield movies or shit. It's the one where it doesn't sound anything like the original.
Apologize to him.
I'm sorry, Garfield.
It's okay,
I'm
he
sorry.
forgives.
But yeah, there's one version of I Feel Good that everyone knows, and then there is the original version, which is so much fucking superior. I have no idea why the new one is even bothered on compilations.
Damn.
And it doesn't sound anything like the new one, like the newer one. But it's so much better. I will. Do you know what? Fuck it. Just for the sake of it, I am linking it.
All right.
Hell yeah.
Sex Machine Today. I Feel Good. I'm sorry,
I
YouTube. You're gonna ruin it.
I love that name.
And it also begins with one of the best fucking intros of all time. So yeah, it's crazy how much better this version is, if you ask me. It's like it makes the mainstream version sound like commercial music. It just sounds cheap and generic. It sounds like karaoke.
Damn. All right. You want to move on to Claw now?
Oh yeah, no, sex machine.
Sex
Yeah,
machine.
yeah,
Sorry.
Before we do,
sex machine diarrhea. There you go.
yeah, diarrhea. That's the main takeaway.
Duty.
Yeah.
But before we get on to we're coming up on the final round of selections. However, stay to the end because I have a treat for everybody.
Is it what I think it is?
Is it your Willy?
I don't know.
Oh, no.
It's not my. It is not my Willy. No.
Is it episode
wow.
related or is it separate news? Because I just saw some separate news that I want to talk to you after this episode about.
It's music related.
Okay, good. Well, all right. Ignore me. Continue. What are we doing?
Claw?
Claw?
Oh shit! It's me. Oh
Yes.
god.
Yay.
Well, I deliberated over this one once again. My list is in disarray, unfortunately, and as am I. But I think the final pick had to be. I mentioned it before the final pick had to be Mezzanine by Massive Attack.
Yes.
It's the third studio album by English electronic group Massive Attack. It's from 1998, and their first couple albums are like a lot more airy, a lot less fucking dark and brutal. This album is just like it's like an onslaught of bad vibes, but in a good way. It's this dark electronic album, but it's smooth as hell. It feels like you're out in the most miserable evening in like London or whatever. It's one of those old 90s music videos where there's like fucking, just dark vibes,
Yeah.
It had a few music videos, but and they were pretty good actually. They fit the fucking mood. Their first albums, Blue Lines is pretty great. Protection I like a little less so, but Mezzanine is just a peak. As a person who's tried to do mixing of music, and I think I've finally got it to a point where I'm decent at it, but I will never be as good as this fucking album. This album is what I put on to get an idea for how to mix fucking bass and drums and everything that I'm trying to do. This is where I get the fucking, how did they do that? How did they get that exact sound? How did they get that?
I'm so sorry to interrupt you. Okay, so based on the fact that you said Mezzanine and, Teardrop, it was used for the theme of House for a while, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's how I first heard them, yeah.
Okay, so
love that
Teardrop,
show, by the way. It's great.
Yes, great show and also great song. So just very quickly, Cardiagns, the Gran Turismo, the Cardiagns, very similar idea, similar idea. But the Cardiagns album, like I haven't heard most of Mezzanine. I only really know Teardrop, but it's the same kind of like digitized beats, but then very low, abysmal basses, and then guitars
got
layered
a lot
on
of
top.
dub influence. That's where they kind of began, was with dub.
So if you like that,
bass.
if you like that, there's a couple of songs on Gran Turismo that are very similar to that.
This whole album and that one, and like also the Garbage one, it's just this very 90s feeling.
It's almost like machine and man mixing. It's not one isn't stronger than the other. They're just equal part,
In a way, there's a lot of analog technology that was used, like analog compressors and stuff. Nowadays, everything is VSTs, everything's synthesized, and trying to emulate that fucking sound of like, there's just a weird space to it. It has, if you listen to it, I'm not like a real audiophile, but you listen to this album in like FLAC, it's a fucking experience.
Cardiagns is exactly the same.
It's a great 90s record. It's followed by a few interesting albums. The next album is 100th Window, which had Sinead O'Connor on it. And it has one of my favorite songs from them, and just in general, called Special Cases, which I think is about domestic abuse. I'm not entirely sure. It's got great lyrics, though, and it has a great vibe. And then their last album was, by the way, I'm sorry, Tristan, I had the image copied, and I just forgot to even fucking...
It's all good.
Their last album for like fucking 14 years at this point was Heligoland from 2010, and they just have not made anything since then, except like they've done a couple weird tours, and like there's always been fucking bubblings that there's gonna be more from Massive Attack. And Tricky got back with them, guys, Tricky's back in the picture now, guys.
Oh yeah.
And that was like 6 years ago, and they've done nothing. What the fuck is going on? I don't know what's going on, but Robert Del Naya's up to some shit. They're a weird band. Like, they're very spotty, depending on if you like which influence that they go with. This album is ostensibly trip-hop, but it's like not many other trip-hop albums that you'll hear. I have a few others on this list, and to spoil one of them, Londinium by Archive is probably similar to this, but in a dark sort of way, but in a more theatrical way. This is just gloomy. This is just makes you overwhelmed with like a vibe, and not much else can compete with that. And there's just a few different competing influences of like post-punk, as it says on Wikipedia, industrial and dub, as well as hip-hop, and like, yeah, depending on if you like the dub influence more, they have a lot of like weird remix shit. But from one track from this album that I'd point out would be, let me see here. Let me pick a track. I mean, Teardrop was like the famous one.
Yeah.
And I like everything on this thing. There's no skips, including the two songs that are like linked, Exchange and in brackets Exchange. But I have to go with the opening track, Angel. It's 6 minutes. It features longtime veteran of Massive Attack. Oh geez, what's going on? What's going on?
we're just talking.
Ignore that. That's
That's
for later.
just
That's
some
for
side
later. I
stuff.
just wanted
Okay.
We'll talk
Okay.
about that next time.
I thought y'all had
Tune
your
in,
notifications
episode,
muted like I did. I'm
63.
sorry.
Halo, right. So, Angel features Horace Andy, who is this reggae singer, I believe, an old guy who's been with them since the first album and up to the last album. He's on every album. So but he's always been kind of like he's not really part of the band, but he's there.
Yeah.
And he does a song on every album, or maybe two. It's fucking amazing bass. It's got a great guitar solo and just feeling in the guitar. It's this very dreadful fucking shitty guitar. I love it.
Dude, it's really funny. I've just added this to like the rest of the album to my backlog, and Apple Music. If there's like a notable album, they usually have like a bit of a descriptor from somebody at Apple, and everything you said is pretty much exactly what they said. It's quite amazing. Like,
I did
not in a plagiarism
not
sense.
scripted.
No, not in a plagiarism sense. I mean, like, I'll just read. I'll read the first two sentences. Trip hop was plenty bleak to begin with, but Massive Attack's third album reached new extremes of desolation. The beetle on the cover is a very good indicator of the menace that lurks inside. Like, that's
Okay,
fucking
I'm not
cool.
that pretentious, but
that's
that's
some flowery prose.
There's a little bit of appleness. In
little
there,
purple.
but-
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean that's true. Like I agree. You know, I have to say it's cringe to be so, flowery. But man, that's just true. And you listen to which song am I playing now? Which one is this? Oh fuck, there's no timestamps. I think this is like I had to find it on YouTube because Spotify is fucking AIDS. I think this is Dissolved Girl. It's number 6. And it's like, it's just, I don't know. It has this just, you feel like you're alone in a hostel in New York City at night. And there's people fighting outside. It's like
Yeah.
weird.
I will say, whenever Teardrop comes on in, like, when I'm driving, like, it makes me feel cold. Like, it makes me feel like I've been rained on. It's like, there is something...
And that's like the cheeriest
emanating.
song on that album.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Oh, God.
Everything else is about sex and sleaze and misery.
Yeah.
But it's the smoothest shit, and it has this beat, and it's great. And, their first couple albums had more of a rap influence, but this is how I got into trip-hop mostly, because, again, house... And I was looking for something because I was into rock and like video game music, and I was like, I want to find music that's not like dance electronica, but that is more whatever, that's more like this.
Yeah.
And there's another album that I'm not going to mention right now because it almost made today's list. I'm sorry to that album, but it's going to be on next time. You just stick around. But that album was the real introduction. But that was the sunny day of trip hop, and it's like down tempo trip hop. That one's like the sunny, sprinkly day of happiness. And there's some sad songs, but it's just kind of weepy, commercial sad in a nice way, in like a nice way. But this is the fucking Legend of Zelda Dark World of fucking trip hop. It's great. It's a great album. So check it out.
So it's not achy breaky heart, is what we're saying.
Not exactly, no.
Not exactly, no.
Not exactly. All right. So my last one for tonight is After the Disco by Broken Bells, which is also kind of a shout out to the entire discography in a way, because this is a band that's made up of Danger Mouse and the lead singer of The Shins. And it has a very... The first two albums especially have this kind of, like, nostalgic, like... I'd almost say, like, Bee Gees-esque vibe to them, if that makes sense. A lot of ethereal kind of soundscapes and stuff throughout both the main two albums. The third one's pretty good, but it kind of takes a deviation. And I most of the time have a second one because it's got probably the most consistent track list. There's not really any skips on this. The one I will shout out, though, will probably be... I'd probably say Holding On to Life. It's, very much a Bee Gees coded song. It's 70s nostalgia mixed with, like, a future kind of aesthetic to it.
Oh, yeah.
It's really good. I don't really have...
So it's kind of disco?
Very much. The first one is a little less disco, but the second one here, After the Disco, is very much that kind of vein of, like, you know...
Yes, yeah, it would be like that, yeah.
It's a really good time. Again, Danger Mouse also does a lot of great work. I'll also shout out his collaboration of MF Doom, which really fucks. My voice
that sounds like it would fuck. I think I might have heard that one, but yeah.
It's really good. I forgot the title, the name of the... I think it is Doom Mouse. I think it's
something like that.
It's something similar, but fucking done a lot of great work, done a lot of different songs. I'll recommend it, and that's kind of all I got for tonight. I'm a little tired.
I get it.
Also, really quick, Lighter Gun. I've been holding out a time to show this.
Oh, hell
Holy
yeah.
shit, you've got the fucking... You've got the fucking
Wait, what's
carpool
Lighter
gun?
Carpool Lighter Gun.
Am I allowed to get those in Canada? I need one of those.
They
had them when I was a kid.
Your country is like a goofy, weird mess with certain things.
I watched fucking Carpool, and I begged my dad to get me fucking a lighter gun.
Yeah, this one comes with little caps, so you can actually take this around in public because it looks like a Derringer.
Yeah, you don't want a carpool situation to erupt.
Yeah.
Caddy, we're gonna have to get you on.
Dude, now you properly blend into your background.
Exactly.
Hell yeah.
Silent Hill 2 time.
Caddy, we're gonna have to get you on a
streams.
season of second streams, second screenings.
Yep.
It's been a fun ride. Aside from Cocaine Bear, fuck Cocaine Bear.
Yeah,
I hate that movie so much.
It's our movie podcast, and we've watched some good, some bad, and then Cocaine Bear might be one of the worst things I've ever watched.
I didn't hate Cocaine Bear, but I thought it was gonna... I think I went in with too much expectations. It was like the whole Sharknado thing, where it's like, isn't it wacky? It's a shark and a tornado. Like, no, I
don't know, man.
The bear did
could have done so much further.
A real
so much
from
further.
that movie.
Anyway. Tristan.
So my next pick is Protomen Act 2,
nice.
The Father of Death. So the Protomen are a rock band inspired by Mega Man, which is so fucking cool.
It shouldn't work as well as it does, but it does.
It really
I want to say I've heard of them because of MagFest. I frequent MagFest.
Yeah, they go to MagFest a lot.
Yeah, okay.
I don't have the Father of Death, but I do have This City Made Us, the 10-inch.
Ooh.
10-inch single, which is fucking banger design, very clean.
Mega Man rock music. So is it rock music?
Yeah. It's mostly rock, but the Father of Death does something really fucking cool. It's a prequel to the first album, which is essentially just like a Mega Man story, but dark and edgy.
Yeah.
But Act 2 does something really fucking cool. the first half, side A, essentially, is about Thomas Light. You know, he is working with Wily on some fucking robots. He's like, hey, we're going to use these to build cool things. And Wily's like, no, I'm going to use them to oppress the people. And Thomas is like, that sucks. I worked my whole life on this. And the really cool thing it does with the sound specifically is that the first half, before the city like gets built up by the robots and Wily takes control, it's like acoustic, very like rolling kind of Western themed kind of deal. It's very unplugged. However, there is a transitory track in the middle titled How the World Fell Under Darkness that like shifts from that sort of it's a bit like orchestral as well. Okay. And it shifts from that kind of vibe to a really synth heavy vibe really, really well. And then that's the entire second half of the album telling the story of Joe. And the second half of the album also does something really fucking cool with a specific beat that's going through basically the entire second half. It's really fucking cool. You should listen to it. This is definitely one of those albums that you gotta listen to as an album. Like, I would even recommend going along and reading like the lyrics because it has like stage directions in it. It's wild.
Oh shit!
And some of the instrumentals are like
same for Blind Guardian. Any music like that, you gotta read along with it. Yeah.
But like, there are some instrumental tracks that either have like no lyrics or very sparse lyrics, and those are entirely stage directions. And there's like 5 paragraphs. It's very story heavy. Takes a lot of inspiration from like 1984, which is pretty nice.
I was gonna say that the way you were describing the first half, the beginning leading up, then it goes acoustic and then it transition. All of that shit, that's 2112. Like straight up, that's just 2112, which is cool. It's just like so it sounds like if Rush did a Mega Man thing. Which is a great idea.
Yeah. But if I were to recommend a single track, I know it's boring, but it's got to be Light Up the Night. That's the I almost said Mega Man. The Protomen track that everybody knows, and for good reason. It's a fucking banger. But honestly, I would say the entire second half, just no holds barred, complete slappage. And the first half isn't a slouch either. It's really good. Like the Hounds. Beautiful. But it's a very, very good like story-based concept album. And I really, really dig it. And hopefully Act 3 will be released sometime within my fucking lifetime. Yeah. This album came out in 2009. This single came out almost 10 years ago. And the album for it is nowhere to be found. Yeah. I guess so. I mean, hey, they did a Queen live album. They did like a fucking short film based on Light Up the Night. They've been busy. They just they're taking their time with it. And I hope it's good.
I hope so.
I hope the singles so far have been really good.
I hope it fucking releases in my lifetime. Jesus.
God, you got. It takes a while to make 8 Warrior Robot Masters. Come on.
I remember when V used to hype this album up a lot, and I was always like, "This seems
for good reason.
This seems goofy," but then it sounds pretty great.
Like that's the thing. Saying that it's Mega Man music really undersells it because if you didn't know that, this could just be like a story of how
rock opera.
Yeah, well, exactly. A rock opera about how like an Orwellian government comes into power.
Yeah, I dig that concept.
Which is
that again? Like, I mean, 2112, an Orwellian government has already been in power for centuries, and then what the fuck is Bohemian Rhapsody about? I don't know. I like it's if you try and describe these kinds of highbrow concept things to anybody, it's gonna sound dumb.
Yeah, it's
one of those things.
But like
you just got to be like, okay, here's the thing, listen to it, and just see what you think. Does it envelop you? Do you get lost in it? Then cool, who cares?
Yeah, like if the main characters weren't named Thomas Light and whatever the first Albert Wiley, I think.
Yeah.
But if they weren't named that, and if the main hostile force besides Wiley wasn't literally just describing a Sniper Joe, you wouldn't be able to tell.
Yeah. Which, hey, that's pretty
But yeah,
dope.
it's very good. It's very, very good. All right, I'm good to go on.
Caddy, you
Nice.
got the
So is it me then? Final three.
floor.
Okay.
Final three.
Oof. Okay, I'll try and keep it brief. It's coming up to 1 a.m. over here, so I'm
Yeah.
tired just like you all.
Gotta go
Yeah.
get big pizza.
I want to make some food.
I'm hungry.
Okay,
too.
cool. So, first thing in my best is, funnily enough, considering I just put Tusk there, it's Pendulum by Creedence
Oh,
Clearwater Revival.
Oh, shit.
Equally an album of four men that fucking hate each other and they just want it to stop. But yeah, it's so fucking good. It's like I mean Creedence
I didn't
again.
know they hated each other.
By the
Oh
end.
dude. They are still suing each other today. They fucking
wow.
hate each other. It was one of the most unceremonious breakups in like classic rock history. Fascinating story. And then I mean, okay, yeah. There's basically this album's great. If you like Creedence music, if you like Bad Moon Rising, if you like Lodi, if you like Have You Ever Seen the Rain, that's where that's the album that came from. If you like Creedence, you're gonna like this album. It's got some fucking great southern groove on it. Pagan Baby is probably my favorite track on the album, just because it has tempo changes. It has John Fogerty screaming like a banshee through most of it, and like just such a deep, rooty, earthy groove and like southern guitar-y drum kind of feel to it. It's such a good sounding album. But regardless of all of that, this was the second to last album, I'm pretty sure. The final album was called Mardi Gras, and that was the album where everybody was basically saying, hey, I want to write my own songs. Can I do this? Hey, why do you keep turning my bass down? Why do you keep doing this? And then John Fogerty, who's the lead singer, lead songwriter, and basically the guy that wrote every fucking #1 hit that Creedence ever did, was like, all right then, guys, you fucking make an album. And so he comes in at the final album and just leaves everybody to fucking do it. And it is a disaster. And it's like, you don't have any idea how bad it sounds. It's like, you've got the bass player, Stu Cook, on the left, and he sings a couple of songs on the final album. And I'm going to do an impression, and I'm not kidding. I can't sing. This is how it sounds. It's like,
That's good music right there.
Hell yeah,
it's
brother.
honest to God. Honest to God, it is just southern, just drunken yelling. I can't figure out, but they're not southern. I'm pretty sure they're Californian, so it's just fucking, it's a joke. But either way, Pendulum, Creedence, loads of people know Creedence from Greatest Hits and everything. Again, they've done a lot of albums, but honest to God, they did maybe 6 albums within fucking 3 years, and then just fucking disbanded. It's and they left such a massive crater of music legacy in terms of pop culture recognizability and stuff, and yet it's who the fuck are the members of the band? Nobody knows. They're an anomaly. I don't get how Creedence, which is
outside of John Fogerty, nobody could name these people in a lineup of themselves.
Yeah. I know, and it was a running gag even when they were doing well, because whenever they went and played live, the people that used to do the press they never knew if they were interviewing the fans or the band. Because they were just normal people, and they just had no charisma really or anything, but they were such a fucking good band, good band.
At this time, it's this is what your average man just kind of looked like. Because I mean, I've seen photos of my uncles from this time, and I swear to God, but far left looks like my Uncle Jim. Swear to God.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's just a nebulous look. It's just a nebulous look.
But same mustache. This guy could have been confused for 72 serial killers, you know?
Absolutely. But yeah, it's the album itself, though, without the backstory is interesting. I mean, Have You Ever Seen the Rain? You guys all know that track, right? Everybody knows that one.
Oh yeah.
So that song is about the rain is coming, the band is ending. Have you ever seen the rain? Have you ever seen the end? Basically, it's a breakup song. It's but then obviously good
good poetry and good art can be universal, and people just read it as, oh, it's a breakup song, or oh, it's raining, and it's like, well, actually, no, it's about the band breaking up, but
It
you
is
know,
a breakup, yes, but
yeah, I suppose in that way, yeah. But yeah, it's fascinating story, great album. It's got a bit of everything. It's got southern boogie, it's got rock and roll, it's got gritty performances, it's got blues in there, it's got a bit of organ. It's and it's for people that hate each other and just want to fucking end it. It's great. It's brilliant. So that will be one of my tops. In terms of runner-ups, is one of the more out there picks I've got. This is Focus 3 by Focus.
ooh,
And Focus are a mental jazz fusion prog rock.
That's the one with the yodeling, right?
yep,
It
Hocus
is the
Pocus.
one with the yodeling.
Yeah.
And
I think
this
one
is
of
not-
their band members played on an Arion album. I think it was the
Oh, really?
flautist.
Oh yeah. So well, the flutist is also the piano / organ player, and also the lead singer, and also the yodeler. So yeah, like
Oh, okay. Sure.
and also
Yeah,
the panpipe player, and also everything.
Wow.
So that the track you just said the yodeling. That's Hocus Pocus is the name of that
Pocus.
song.
Yep.
So that's a fucking banger. Great, probably
Hocus
one of their
Pocus
best
Pocus.
songs.
I always
Yes.
would confuse the band name of the song all the time. I'd be like, is it Focus by Hocus Pocus or is it Hocus Pocus by Focus?
Yes, it's definitely Hocus Pocus by Focus. But yeah, so that the album that's an album called Moving Waves is what Hocus Pocus is on, and sadly, like I don't think every track on that album is great enough to be like, yeah, that's the one you want to try. If you want to try and see more of what they can do that isn't Hocus Pocus, this is the album to try. But it's fucking weird. If like Hocus Pocus is probably their most palatable because it's like you've got a really fucking great hard rock song that is just spliced with yodeling for some reason. Whereas with this, it's like, oh, we're gonna be doing 12-minute long organ shit, but with the drummer on crack, and also there's gonna be a guitar solo. But then there's gonna be a track on there that's but it's not like aimless. It has structure. It has a point. There are vocals. There are like it's unique. Nothing really else sounds like Focus. And what's really cool is that they are. I didn't even know this. They're still fucking going. They made an album this year,
Holy shit.
and it's called it's called Focus 12. They're still fucking going.
They're going
And, like,
25, 30, 50.
Yeah. And one of my favorite stories about them, before I move on to the final one of my favorite stories is that when Hocus Pocus was becoming a hit, they were asked to go on TV a lot and asked to go, promo things on the BBC and all these other, because they were quite big in the UK. They were on BBC shit all the time. That's where most of their archival footage is. And they were told, look, we know you've got this single and everything, but you have to cut some of it out. You have to, because it's too long. It's like 6.5 minutes, I think, Hocus Pocus. And it's like, it's just too long. Cut a solo out, or cut one of the drum breaks out, cut some of the yodeling out, cut one of the flute solos out, cut something. And they were like, well, no, because this is our song and we don't want to do that. So do you know what they did? They played it at double speed.
Oh my
And
god.
if you go online, you can see them playing Hocus Pocus, which is already again
Really fast. Yeah, I played
it's a quick track, but it's at the point where if you look at live footage of them playing it at their height, it's so much like, okay, have you got the tune in your head?
Yeah,
like right now?
I-
Yeah, okay, right. Okay, so
yeah.
Hell yeah, brother.
yeah. So the live versions in the 70s, I'm not kidding.
Sounds like something out of a fucking video game.
It's just
it
fucking
sounds like speed metal.
yeah, honest to God. And it's like, and then you've got the it's just and then he just loses his
Comedy
shit and
music.
it's more or less, it's Jester shit, but with more cocaine. It's
Oh,
Is the
mental.
yodeling a common component throughout the band?
yes.
Okay, interesting.
Yes.
alright.
I
I've
think
never heard much yodeling outside of just, I guess, that song and like random shit in like a commercial or whatever.
It's not something he does all the time. It's just like he has a very, very high pitched tenor voice, and he's not afraid to like there will be choruses of songs which are just him going oh, like he'll just fucking go off for ages. And yeah, there's another great clip as well on there was a show in the UK called the Old Grey Whistle Test, which is like where loads of classic rock outfits got some of their best performances recorded for TV, and they did a track from this album and then spliced it. They did that track first and then they took a break and then did Hocus Pocus all in one go, and it's pretty impressive as it is. But in the middle of Hocus Pocus, the lead singer, they take an instrumental break and they add another bit to the song where he just goes, "We'd like to wish you all a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year." And then and then it kind of and then you're like, "Oh, is the song over? What's going on?" And then he goes, "And we wish you a Happy New Year." And then it goes right back into Hocus Pocus again, and it's just like, great. What are you? It's great. It's comical, but they do have a tongue in cheek about it, and yeah, that's a great album. Great album. And then, oh wait, did I put that as my runner up or as my? I think that might. Yes, I did.
All right. Hey,
I did. So what did I do with the newer finds? I just got the wrong album art. Okay, give me a sec. Rightio.
Take your time. I'm working on the Spotify version of the thumbnail.
We are on the final one for me then, which is Kick Inside. Fucking incredible album. Incredible artist. Another person who I would argue is probably more punk than anybody has ever been. Oh yeah, and like the whole album feels like that cover. Like it's one of those albums where like if you look your whole line on looking cover and listening to the music, it's like it's part of the experience, you know. If anybody knows the track Wuthering Heights, does anyone know that one?
I've heard it.
Okay. It's been used in things, but it's like everybody now knows Kickbush for running uphill. I'm not going to be honest.
It's an okay song. I like some cover art. There's I'll continue. I'll name the cover in a second.
Oh no, it's fine. Yeah. But yeah, like it's fine. I like Kickbush anyway, so it doesn't matter. But like this album is just like you won't hear anything like this. Like her singing style and everything. It's like you're strangling a little girl, and yet they can somehow hit the right notes. Like her voice does things you can't even fucking imagine possible, and she just goes with it with all sincerity. But there's so many classic tracks, so many good tracks. So lots of them are very driving and very rock heavy. Some of them are very floating and very like ethereal almost. Like it just sounds like alien music sometimes. But it's like, and then it's like, okay, all right, is it, how experimental are we talking? And it's like, okay, what year was it? 78. And it's like,
shit.
Okay.
Damn, for 1978, that cover's crazy too. Like,
oh yeah, no, it's very out there. But yeah, like I would say, like to get people in. The reason it's in my new picks is because I've loved Wuthering Heights, the song, for ages. It's just one of those songs that's always followed me through most of my like musical life. But then I was like, well, what album did it come from? And then I found the album, and then I loved fucking every other song on it. And there's great tracks like James and the Cold Gun. That's a great track I would recommend. But then another track I would say that gives you the best idea of what this album feels like is Wuthering Heights itself. And if you just YouTube Wuthering Heights Kate Bush and then have this album cover like staring at you, it's an experience, because the song is great enough as on its own, but then you have the cover and then you just have this whole new mood is created. And yeah, like there's songs about, you know, womanhood, pregnancy. There's all sorts of weird abstract things going on, and told and sung and performed in very abstract ways. It's not a 70s record. You'd listen to it and you'd think it could have come out last week, or it could have come out like in the I don't know, like in Sweden in the 80s, maybe. Like it just doesn't sound like a 1978 Brit doing it. It just doesn't sound like it. Timeless, but not in a kind of like I would say London Calling was timeless because every time I hear that the track London Calling, I'm like, this could have been done by a band a week ago, and I wouldn't have thought twice. But with Kate Bush, it's like you can't pin it down to anything. You can't you'll listen to all the tracks, and you're like, some of them like James and the Cold Gun is the example I used. That's a little bit more of its time. But then you listen to the Kite song, or you listen to Wuthering Heights, and you're like, what fucking year / dimension / planet was this made on? It's like you can't pin it down. And I'm glad that she's getting the recognition that she deserves with Stranger Things and Running Up That Hill, but I genuinely think there's a lot more gold to find, and I'm just starting with going through her discography, but this is for a newer find. This was a damn fucking good spot. So yeah, there we are with that.
Hell yeah.
All right.
And that's all of the albums that we have.
Yes.
Not everyone, but we're getting there.
Yeah, not all of them, but
for this episode.
Which just in the interest of keeping this not 7 hours long.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're at about 3.5 already. So,
I do want to take up a little bit of y'all's time.
We gotta go get some pizza, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry, I was muted. I'm gay.
While I was grabbing my vinyls.
Yes.
I know somebody just cringed saying that. I was grabbing my records. I found this little CD.
Let me go
and this is It's All About the Abrahams by Swagnificent. This is a first edition.
Swagnificent.
Yes.
What a great name.
This kind of hit me hard. Well, because as we were talking about really briefly, I was at my high school reunion after party last night.
Yes.
And it was nice seeing a whole bunch of old people. Well, basically we are at this point. But it was nice seeing a whole bunch of people that I hadn't seen in 10 years. Sadly, the friend who made this was not among them. I'm sure he's probably off at some other city, but this is an album that he made of bad rap songs, and if we
oh boy, oh my God, it's got to be.
It's All About the Abrahams with an apostrophe S, and so you can go and listen to this album now. But I feel like
a list of Swagnificent's favorite books.
I wrote that.
Oh God,
it's 15 seconds. Can you guess what the punchline is?
No.
I have an idea, but
he doesn't read.
Oh,
I'm not seeing anything, and I'm very scared.
Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and end stream on this. Whoa! I really hope y'all hear this. Okay, all right. So now I'm going to stream the Halo 2 Windows Media Player skin.
Okay. Nice.
And we're going to listen to the last track on the album.
Nostalgic.
Let me just make sure this is the actual last track. Track 9.
Tristan, this is extra, and I love it.
Yeah, I'm okay with this.
I'm very glad.
It's full screen.
Oh, this is the regular bad rap song. Hang on.
Oh, track 7.
A couple of these tracks are just missing. Okay.
The disc might be scratched.
Maybe.
Now, your first question is 2 + 2. Raise your hands, please. Yes, Swagnificent?
67.
No, Swagnificent. 2 + 2 does not equal 67.
I get the joke.
Wait, so is this legit or is this a shit post? I don't.
This is a shit post his friend made. That's how we're into the episode.
Ladies and gentlemen, loud equals funny.
Featuring
Hyperfixation. Swagnificent on the mic. And Caddicarus here too.
Yes,
Thank you,
Caddy,
everybody.
anything you want to shout out before we go?
I'll turn the volume down.
Yeah. You might want to just pause it.
I'm gonna just shout out. You know what? I'm working on shit right now. I'm working on a video about PS1 cheats. I am going through a cheat book that I've had since I was like 7 years old. It has
nice.
230
I miss those
PS1
fucking
games
things.
in
I
it.
gotta look for one at the thrift store or some shit.
I was about to say I have some PlayStation 2 ones. If you ever want some from America, I can ship them up.
Oh, cheers! Thank you.
I got one too.
I think I
But
got
yeah,
some of
so
them.
that's what I'm working on, and it's got the cheat book itself has 230 PS1 games in, and yes,
Damn.
I will be looking at every single fucking one to see what the
Oh, hell
cheats
yeah.
do.
Hell yeah.
I own physical copies of every single book in game in that book, and I thought it would just be a funny idea because it's just
Jesus
an
fucking
easy
Christ, you're
topic.
insane. I have like 5 PS1 games and I think I'm a real Chad. Jesus fuck.
I have close to 400, I think now.
Oh
I
my
have a
God,
lot.
I think
that's so
I've-
great.
I think at most
I
I've
have
got
a lot.
like 100 games for one console. I think it's most I've got currently. Sadly,
yeah,
I wish it was
got quite a lot. Yeah, I got quite a lot, sadly. But yeah, so it's like if I've got that many, I might as well make some money with them. Otherwise, they're just
Yeah.
sitting there.
exactly.
So,
I mean,
yeah.
hey,
Oh, they're ready if
that's
you ever
why
want to play them.
they're a business
that's good enough.
expense. Well, no, they're a business
Yeah,
expense.
they
man.
are. They are.
You take them out of
But
tax.
yeah, so that's what I'm working on right now. But obviously shit's very busy over here at the moment.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
Life
trying to
gets in the way.
stream. It does. So I'm trying to stream basically a lot more. So I'm on Twitch, which is just Caddicarus again, or Caddy Plays on YouTube because I dual stream, which is pretty fucking
Yes.
technologically advanced and
That's cool.
sick. And
I've popped in a couple times
yeah.
on stream. I've seen some, like, sometimes OBS gives you some hang-ups, but it's usually been pretty solid.
Yeah, it's I mean, look, you don't come to a Caddy stream and not expect everything to shit itself like that. Me and technical problems just
Same.
go hand in hand. But yeah, so that's all I'm really doing at the moment. Yeah.
All right. Well,
Hell yeah.
folks, check out Caddy's stuff in the description down below. It's going to be linked for you there. Yeah, Hyperfixations music episode 2.
Penis.
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 Swagnificent.